JP.
Right, hello there. I need to stop screaming when I start these streams in a chat, because you are all probably just expecting like a hello there, everyone. Welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to another live stream. But then I just go wah, like I'm on steroids, even though I'm like the opposite kid to represent people on steroids. So I do apologize to anyone who reps those steroids and keep it going and enjoy the tiny bollocks. Anyway, welcome back to another stream. Smash a like, subscribe. Only if you want, though, because if you don't like it, then it makes no sense to do that stuff. And leave some constructive feedback in the comments down below as well. It's been an interesting day of news, of updates, and everything in between. And there's stuff going on with Mason Greenwood and everything, which you guys have been asking my opinions on as well, chat. So I'm looking to delve into that one, even though it doesn't necessarily concern us. It's a big piece of news. We'll talk about that later on, though, because let's be honest, we care about transfers, you know? So we're going to be doing that throughout the stream. But if we can smash it like that, it'd be grand. And big up to everyone who's in the stream already. My guy, Redmondinho, with the best Liverpool ball knowledge. Jeez. We need to get a trophy for that. You know what I'm saying? I've never won a trophy before, chat. I'm like the Tottenham Hotspur of people. Like, I have very few medals. Like, I have participation medals, but I've never, like, actually won a trophy. I'm going to class my 100k subscriber plaque as a trophy, so that'll be a cool moment. As long as we get to Corey, I'm happy. Well, the updates that I have for you, then you're probably not going to be like overly pleased. Not because we're not getting to Corey no more, but first and foremost, James Pearce, if you want to trust James Pearce, and I've done a video on that today, he said that we're not looking to get an out-and-out number 6. So I suppose if you take any credibility there, then that's probably going to make you poo yourself. But there's been more encouraging links with Gravenberch. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about if Gravenberch deal will be the one. Will the Gravenberch deal get over the line? And if it does that improve us? Does it make us better? And is it what we need? That's what all remains to be seen. Oh, chat, did you see the Ivan Toney interview? Did you see the Ivan Toney interview where he was like, I'm a Liverpool fan? It's no knowledge. And everyone's getting really excited because he's brought it back up about him being a Liverpool fan. And maybe some people didn't know he was. But, you know, for me, chat, I'd take him. But you know what I am going to ask of you, Akram? I'm going to ask you to stop spamming, bud. If you keep spamming them mods, I expect you to time him out because he was spamming in the last stream. As much as I appreciate you, say, because Akram, you're actually a cool dude. Don't like people who spam. It's like, bro, you're literally mentioning the name Ivan Toney and spamming it in the chat. It's just a bit strange, you know what I mean? But yeah, Ivan Toney would be quality. Ivan Toney would be absolutely quality if he could join the club. I think he walks straight into the first team as well, by the way. I think that's something that would happen pretty immediately. But that's just a little side note. I suppose we can talk more about that if you guys want to bring it up. And do Arsenal actually want Ivan Toney? I haven't saw this and I haven't heard this. I know that he mentions Arsenal. He said like Liverpool was his fan, the team that he was a fan of, and then Arsenal was the team that like Liverpool's his team that he supports, and Arsenal he's like a fan of them or something. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting stream, chat. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to show you the news in which I've seen get Hikape or Guay. I suppose that's a possibility. But I'm still not confident on a centre back though. I'm still maybe like an out of nowhere RKO type idea where we just go and swoop somebody. And Hincape, what's his name? Hincape. I've seen we've been linked with him. I don't know over amounts, but I'd love a centre back. I'd want one more midfielder than a centre back if I could choose. But if it's 2 more midfielders, fine. But yeah, I do think it'd be a big shame to neglect the centre back. The reason why I don't think we're going to get a centre back, by the way, we're going to decide to keep Nat Phillips. That's one thing, because Jurgen Klopp confirmed no more outgoing. So if we're going to hold him to his word, then that means no one else is being sold. And if no one else is going to be sold, well, then Nat Phillips has got to be a part of that category because he falls into the anyone category. So if he's falling into that one, then he's probably going to stay. And Leeds don't seem to be putting any bids on the table for him. So that's another thing. And then bear in mind, we've got Matip, Gomez, all these players. I understand maybe me and you don't rate those options, but, you know, Jurgen Klopp favours some of these players. So from that standpoint, I don't think he's going to be putting enough agency on a centre-back or people within the club don't overturn the decision and say, we might actually need to go and get a centre-back. I just don't think it's a priority for the football club. So that's the only reason why I haven't really spoke about centre-backs as much, chat. I'd speak about them more if it made sense, but sometimes it just don't make too much sense, you know what I mean? So that's our problem. That's our problem. We really need Doucoure at least. We'll mention Doucoure. I want to talk about Gravenberch first, just because there hasn't been no updates on Doucoure. I'm like you. I want an out-and-out CDM, but apparently there's some reporters saying we're not going to get one. I don't believe those reports. I do think we're still going to get a CDM. The Gravenberch one's interesting, though. James, I'm FSG out, but surely Klopp needs to be questioned if we don't get a centre-back or defensive midfielder. Do you know what's interesting? What's your name? Pool? I don't know if you're saying that to imply that I'm not giving Klopp any blame or I'm not dissecting any of the blame towards Jurgen Klopp. I'm sure maybe this is inspired, or this comment is inspired by the video I done earlier responding to Josh on Twitter, because I just thought it was a dumb tweet, because it was, because at the end of the tweet is the thing that I was responding to. I think he said something like, you can't blame FSG for Lavia and Caicedo. And that Jurgen Klopp has came to the conclusion that, okay, let's sell Fabinho, let's sell Henderson, let's sell Milner, or let's get rid of Milner, and let's bring in Endo as their replacement. That's very, 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 very weird. And if Jurgen Klopp did do that, I'd agree. I'd be like, okay, Jurgen Klopp's a problem. But no, I've questioned Jurgen Klopp plenty of times. I just don't question him for the things he doesn't need to be questioned for. And I won't blame him at the tippity top when he's not the one who should be blamed at the tippity top. Like, these owners have literally messed up his number one target and number two target, and he literally had to beg for Endo. So that automatically removes the narrative of Jurgen Klopp being somebody who's in control or 100% control of the transfers. Makes no sense at all. So people think I'm there defending Jurgen Klopp, saying he does nothing wrong. You just don't listen properly. I'm not saying you, by the way, mate. I'm saying like other people in the video earlier. They just can't listen. They have no listening skills, because I was simply responding to the tweet. And I even decided to apply the logic of the tweet that was on the screen. Go and watch the video if you want to see the full thing. But it's interesting how people don't listen. You know what I mean, bro? Big up to Crypto Bug. He says, we should wait the Endo signing. For me, wait there, whoa. The Endo signing signified for me that we are just going to wait. Better off, in my opinion, as well. Why settle for third best? See, this is the problem. See, chatty, see what's happened. WRL, did you see what's happened here? All 400 people in the stream, did you notice this? What did they say about the standards? Gradually over time, what did I mention about the standards? This is what happens. It's like, nah, we're fine with Endo. And if we couldn't get number one or number two, then yeah, we can wait even longer. Who cares? Let's wait till January, where if we get any injuries, or let's say McAllister's out for a month, and let's say Thiago gets an injury, and then let's just say out of nowhere one other person does. I know that's a proper big hypothetical, but I've gave you two likelihoods that McAllister's decision won't get overturned, and a likelihood that Thiago could get injured. Now that leaves us with nothing but offensive midfielders. Thiago's not even classed as defensive. But now we've only got Bajcetic as our only defensive midfielder, and you get someone like Crypto Bug, shout out to you, sir, who says it signified for him that we're just going to wait. And he says, in his opinion, Liverpool are better off doing that, because why get third best? Well, why not get first best? Well, it's because we weren't good enough in the negotiations. Why not get second best? It's because we weren't good enough in the negotiations. Again, I understand where you're trying to come from, but this is what happens over the weeks and months of lowering the standards at the football club. It's literally what the club do best. What do you mean by no more new signings? It weren't me who said that, it was James Pearce. He never said no new signings. He said no more signings in the number 6 position. So that's for you to clarify with James Pearce. Likely that FSG are adapting an approach where they'll only buy players as replacements for old ones instead of brand new. If Endo was the Fabinho replacement, then I don't think Doucoure comes. Well, that's true. That's very true. But then where's the replacement for Milner and Henderson? And then where's the replacement for Ox? I think Oxlade and Naby have been replaced. I think you can say that them two, what they were supposed to be. We've replaced that with Szoboszlai and McAllister. So I'm fine to not even mention Keita and Keita and Oxlade, because they're for me the changes there. They were worth 90 million. We've brought in players worth 100 million combined. You get what I'm saying? My problem is, where's the Milner and where's the Henderson? Your captain and your vice captain. Where's and Fabinho? Oh, and Fabinho. So yeah, let's even say, because Jurgen Klopp came out and what did he say, chat? He said Endo is pretty much a like for Milner. He referenced Milner, you know what I'm saying? He never said that he was Milner's replacement per se. But do you really think, chat, that Klopp sat there and came to the conclusion after the night of German ciggies and bevies, like, do you know what? I think it would be a good idea to you know, to not replace Fabinho or Hendo. And you go and get the captain of Japan to go and replace them. And I love Enzo. You guys know I'm on that Enzo choo-choo train, you know what I'm saying, chat? But do you really think Klopp sat there and said, this is the solution to win league titles again? Because I'm just saying, like, how do you go from wanting Lavia and Caicedo to Enzo as your main option? Which is fine if you want him as an option. I'm not having a go at the Enzo thing. I'm just saying that, like, how do you come to the conclusion that Klopp is, if he's in control of the transfer, because everyone's blaming Klopp for this, which means you think he has majority control in transfers. So that's fine. I'm not having a problem. I'm not having a knack. If you want to blame his tactics, fine. If you want to blame his selection, great. My problem comes to where, if you think he's came up with the idea of let's sell Hendo, let's sell Fabinho, and let's not re-sign Milner, which we know is factually incorrect. We know Milner wanted to stay and Klopp wanted him to stay. And then he only wants Enzo as the replacement. Chat, come on, are we on crack cocaine a little bit? You're on it though, chat. Like, come on. Like, does that make any sense? I don't even need any journalists to tell me that I'm right or wrong there. That makes no sense. And if Klopp is doing this, then we might need to start to have serious conversations, because, yeah, that's mad. And FSG need to not listen to Klopp if he was in that position of control. They're the one who gave him the authority. If I give a 5-year-old keys to a car and then we crash, it's my fault for giving them the keys. I should have just stuck to them to what they knew, which is staying in the small chair thing, the car seat. That was what I was looking for. Do you think Klopp thinks he could turn Gravenberch into a 6? We've seen it with Gini, Gakpo, and others changing position under Klopp. Maybe. I mean, he's tall and he's young. He's under 21, correct? So, I mean, I suppose that implies he could do bits in that sense. But yeah, do you know what we'll do, chat? I'll show you the reports on the Gravenberch stuff. He's been the one who's been updated more so today from multiple journalists here and there. This is just a couple of them. It seems like this move could happen if reports are correct, according to Okop. And then he also mentions a bit further down, the Reliable Telegraph in Holland report that Liverpool were the first team that showed interest in Ryan Gravenberch back when he was at Ajax, and the player hasn't forgotten about that. Also, he says he's open to a move to the Premier League. Also reports Manchester United are interested. So a lot of factors here, but this seems to be the one that we're most linked with, if you will, right? So what's happened here is that Gravenberch, we were linked with him over a year ago. We have now re-inquired about this player. We've gone to Bayern. We've said, listen, we want to sign him. There's been internal discussions at Bayern Munich discussing, like, do we want to keep Gravenberch or not? Is he a part of the plans? Will he be in the starting 11? All these questions. So soon it will have to be a conclusion, especially if a good enough offer's on the table. Do we sell Gravenberch? Now, what also matters is, like it says in the report, if Manchester United come in and try and swoop the deal, well, then now they're going to be paying 30 to 40 million euros that we might not match based on track records. We let Chelsea bully us out of a negotiation. We let him. To be fair, I think the Lavia one, we ended up offering more, but because Lavia accepted Chelsea, our deal was just overridden because they put in a bid first of like 55 million and then we bid 60 million, but that bid was already accepted, so that was a bit of a problem. So the issue there is that Lavia and Caicedo missed out. So Man United now offered superior wages, which they can, more of a bonus, which they can, and a better project, which I think based on ambition, they could probably pitch it better to him. Maybe he'll go there. But then when you think about the Dutch connection with us, you know, like Virgil van Dijk and all these people, then yeah. But also Gravenberch has played with a lot of the dudes there, like Lissandro, Anthony, Erik ten Hag was his manager. So it really depends what his comfort is. It depends on that relationship between the manager and the player. Massive shout out to Shabazz. Big up to you, sir. He says, James Pearce is finished. James Pearce is finished. Klopp hates him. And he's never getting exclusives from Liverpool. And Neil Jones, who said Sobbo was going to Newcastle, they don't know shit. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, James Pearce has been very hit or miss. There's been a lot of things. Because James Pearce at one point was the guy to go to for news, but then there was something that changed, and I can't really pinpoint what that was. I can't pinpoint what was the exact change in James Pearce's approach. I don't know if he disconnected someone. Maybe it was like you said, Jurgen Klopp doesn't like him no more, but he does say some things in a very specific way. Do you know, like when journalists generalize a transfer thing? So like James Pearce came out today and said, I'm not going to go out, or Liverpool won't go out and get a specialised number 6, whatever that means. Because then what if Doucoure isn't a specialised number 6 when he technically is, you know what I mean? Who comes out at the club and says we're not going to get a specialised number 6 or it's just a centre midfielder. Who knows? I mean, I think it's an interesting way to word it, and I think you start wording it like that when you maybe don't get the inside scoops as much or whatever. But I'm not one to make accusations on James Pearce. I just know he's had a lot of misses in terms of the updates. And Neil Jones, yeah, I'm not one to really, like, I don't know Neil Jones's credibility like that. I know that he does bits with Redmen TV, and I've seen some things that he said get wrong. But I also know that today's news isn't tomorrow's news and that it can constantly change. So I do try and have the benefit of the doubt with some of these journalists, you know what I mean? But yeah, when they say something, you shouldn't just take that as the definitive thing that this is going to happen because they said it. But big up to you, Shabazz. Sorry, sir. Yeah, but we all know and we all agree that we absolutely categorically need a number 6. It's just no doubt about it. Shout out to Leighton. He says, Gravenberch also wants the move for more game time. Don't see him starting over Mac or Sobbo, so it would make sense if he played as a 6. But then, chat, we've got to ask, is he good enough to play a 6? Are you happy with him? Because to be honest, if I watch both players, Gravenberch looks significantly more like a box-to-box player opposed to a number 6. And I would actually rather play Enzo as a number 6 than Gravenberch. Chat, is that too far? Because I think a lot of people are expecting, because it's a big name, big signing. He comes in, he plays number 6, la-di-la-di-la. And someone compared him to Gini. Gini was so good, but Gini also had the cover of someone like Fabinho, or when Henderson would step into a CDM role, he adapted well. So maybe Gravenberch is coming in to do something maybe similar to Hendo, but then I'm still waiting for the dominant presence. Maybe Enzo is the Fabinho replacement, and maybe Gravenberch will come in and do a job for Henderson. But then that would mean he's a backup centre midfielder. And if he's going to leave Bayern for more game time, why is he going to leave Bayern to join us? When if we rate Enzo higher than Gravenberch at number 6, which I do, then that means he's got to play above Sobbo or McAllister. And I think we can all agree he ain't better than Sobbo or McAllister. So do you see me problem, chat? By the way, there's 600 people in the stream. Smash those likes and big up to everyone who supports the channel in their own ways and whatnot as well. Smash a dislike if you don't enjoy, though. I think that's important too. Big up to Lee Bruce. Jeez, is your name actually Lee Bruce? Like the reverse Bruce Lee? Fair play, sir, fair play. I think they were anyway. Gerrard wasn't in charge of transfers, though, and in the fact he is an atrocious manager doesn't mean he can't spot quality. Who are we talking about here? Are we talking about Gerrard? Why are we talking about Gerrard? My man's in Saudi trying to tell his players to calm down after 2 games of footy. Big up to Jamie Phillips, man. Big up to you, sir. He says, why do we keep saying we need a number 6? We now have 2, Enzo and Stefan. Jamie, I think you're a little bit seedy there, bro. Well, are you? Oh, Jamie, I don't know if Are you trying to make a point with that statement? Like, is there a point there, Jamie? Or are you saying you're happy with Enzo and Stefan? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that? Because I don't know, like, because last season we technically had 3 in it. Like, if you want to throw Henderson in there, sometimes you can. Fabinho was there, obviously. Stefan came in. What do you mean? Why aren't we complaining? Jamie, have you smoked? Oh, not me. Nah, Jamie, are you not talking to me? Who are you talking to then? Is that like a rhetorical question? This is why in the chat you can get like comments that are out of context, and then you've just got me confused. Big up to Josh. He says, how's it going, Hammers? Watching on my way home from work. I hope you had a boss day at work, lad. Hope you had a boss day. Billy Javones, he says he definitely still get more game time for us than at Bayern. The Tuchel doesn't seem to like it. As true as that may be, I'm just saying that if he's going for more game time, but then he's here to be on the bench as well. Of course, we've got Europa League and stuff like this, but I don't know. I think we would have to offer him quite a prominent role. That's what I'm saying, chat. Like, he's coming from Bayern Munich, so he's considered a top player. We'd have to pay 30 to 40 million euros. And I think he'd be coming in to probably have some game time. So it's either we're playing him as a 6 or we're playing him as a centre midfielder. And I don't know who he starts above. And I don't think he's going to go from being a backup at Bayern to being a backup at Liverpool, even if it means 1 or 2, 3, 4 extra games or more minutes off the bench. I don't think that's what Gravenberch is looking for. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. And I couldn't imagine us to offer more money to Gravenberch than what Bayern have. Chat, am I a little bit wrong? Gravenberch will get game time though. Unused sub for Bayern Munich. He'd definitely come off our bench. Plus, so he's an unused sub. Okay, I suppose that's a bit of context. Where our players get red cards. Like, wait there, chat. How many games did Gravenberch play last season? many games did he play last season? Because I think that's important as well. Because I think everyone's. I want to compare what he got last season in the Champions League competing Bayern Munich team in comparison to this season. Because yeah, bro, I'm not too sure me. So last season, how many appearances has he made for Bayern so far? I'm trying to have a look now on transfer market, but it's not giving me it. Have you got the answer, chat? Chat, you are useless. I thought one of you guys out of the 650 people that could have been here could have solved me that. How come it's not on transfer market? I probably should have just looked on Wikipedia, innit? Because if you're thinking about a general, I mean, they play 34 games in the Bundesliga. So let's say 40 to 45 game season, depending on their Champions League run. And he's played how many games for Bayern Munich? He played 24 games. Okay. 24 games out of 34 plus Champions League footy. He's played 26 in total. Okay. And did he have any injuries? Because that matters as well. And let's hope that we're not signing another injury-prone player. That'd be devastating. James, I'm disappointed with us getting Gravenberch and DOUCOURE. One will have to be a sub because Enzo has to start as a 6. So does that mean 4-4-2? I mean, if we get DOUCOURE as well, I don't think that means Enzo. I definitely don't think if DOUCOURE comes in, that means Enzo has to play. I think Enzo is then used as an option, the same way Gravenberch would be used as an option. I just hope we're not considering Gravenberch as a number 6 because he's not a number 6, chat. I don't think he's understanding that. Whatever Jurgen Klopp's trying to do, that doesn't work because I don't think Gravenberch would end up being a number 6. I think he might leave McAllister as a number 6, you know. Unless like Stefan Bajcetic just is that good and Jurgen Klopp really does rate him so highly, which is a question to ask. Like, Jurgen's always backed the youth massively. Like, he literally brought on Ben Doak for Mohamed Salah with 20 minutes to go. It does show the flaws in his game. So for those who think that I'm just backing Jurgen Klopp blindly, not the case at all. But for him to go out and like take off Salah with 20 minutes to go and replace him with 17-year-old Ben Doak and then suggest Endo's our starter and then what's his face? Bajcetic is number 2. That to me is like sort of crack cocaine stuff, you know what I'm saying, chat? Like that is actually quite mad. Gravenberch or Amrabat, we will not get Amrabat. I have to make that asserted to you right now that we will not get Amrabat, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. But we'll see. Big up to Ral. Massive shout out to you, sir. Appreciate the support. He says, do you think specialist roles were only introduced when FIFA became popular? We were never so hyper-focused on where players can play. I think maybe I'd need to look into the history of that. I think I know what you're saying. It's like, because back in the day, it was like you were a centre mid, left mid, forward, or a defender. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where now you've got inverted full back, right back, wing back, defender, centre back, attack and centre back. Like, you've got everything now. Attack and midfield, defence. I'm on to you. I know what you're saying. We apply numbers with positions, which is weird as well. If that's what you're referencing, then yeah, possibly specialist roles, because a specialist role is like the number 6 role and stuff like that. So I understand what you're saying. But then I also think about how McAllister has looked defensively in the past 2 games, and then I understand why there was one genius out there who sat there and said, in fact, a centre midfielder is not just a centre midfielder. Some centre midfielders are actually better to sit slightly deeper than be over the halfway line. And whoever that genius was a great genius, because there's examples like what we see. If you watch games back in the day, it was nothing but 4-4-2, running in behind, massive spaces, some terrible defending. You had some elite defenders, but some absolutely terrible defending. Go and watch some of the defending back in the day, chat. I'm not talking 10, 15 years ago, but you know when like the pitches were bobbly and the balls were fucking crazy? Watch the defending in some of those games and you'll understand what I'm saying. So whenever FIFA got involved and these positions got introduced, if you're talking about the FIFA game, possibly. But I do think the more intricate roles came from a genius manager somewhere out there, and rightly so, because we need those geniuses. Big up to my brother. From where are you from, my dad? It's not Detroit, is it? Where are you from? Wisconsin? Are you from? It's D something, right? It's D something, my brother. I'm gonna read this out in this accent because you my guy, bro. He says it's the president. We were lulled into a. No, I'm going to do this. He uses big words. My dad does, so I'm going to make sure that I read that properly. We lulled into complacency. We pulled 110 million up for Caicedo. We must spend all the money in the squad and a true 6 and left centre-back. No excuses. This is right. And this is why I don't want Jurgen Klopp sitting there. If Jurgen Klopp is saying, we only need Enzo, we don't need anybody else, which I would think is ludicrous. Well, then now I'm sitting there saying, well, FSG, you low-key need to step in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you low-key need to step in. Like, you need to step in. You need to do a job and like actually override this decision like you have done in the past, because FSG have overridden a lot of Klopp decisions. This would need to be one of them. Like, if we don't go out there and get another defensive midfielder, that's one that FSG need to kind of go in and be like, whoa there, sunshine and fucking rainbows. I love you, you German bastard, but you're kind of high here. James, I wish we could get Onana from Everton. Oh, mate, he'd be quality. He's a quality player, nice attributes, would not be too much. Obviously, there's the Everton aspect, but I understand what you're saying. Stylistically, he seems nice. Chat, if you can choose a DM right now, who you're choosing, who's realistic. So, like, Onana isn't really realistic, but I suppose if we really tried to get him, we could defo do a job. You know what I'm saying? Gravenberch played the equivalent of 10 games with Munich. Hey, Jamie, are you still in the stream? Do you want to jump on in a little bit? I can send you the link in like 10, 15 minutes. If you drop me a little tweet or something, then defo we can get you on the stream. LFC, but in about, message me now if you want to jump on, Jamie, and I'll send you it in about 10, 15 minutes if you're still available, sir. Big up to you. Gravenberch played the equivalent of 10 games with Munich. Oh, so you're saying total minutes, fair play. He would definitely get a lot more than that at Liverpool. He'd 100% get a lot more. Yeah, that's fair. If that's actually what he got, 100% he'd be getting more than that at Liverpool. Not even a question in my mind. So yeah, that's actually important context. Fair play. He has an attitude problem. Okay, well, that's interesting. Maybe it's an attitude problem to Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel tends to have a falling out with a lot of people, you know what I mean, and can spin the narrative to be like he's got an attitude problem. I think if Jurgen Klopp is able to handle him, and plus, do you think that Virgil van Dijk and Gakpo are going to sit there and let some friggin' Gravenberch come in and chat shit to Jurgen Klopp? Go, man. Virgil van Dijk will backhand him, lad. Jurgen Klopp's like Virgil van Dijk's dad. Know what I'm saying, chat? Like, I just do not think that. By the way, I'm not dissing Enzo. I think Enzo can even do a job, you know. I actually do. I think he can be the Asian Kante, bro. Like, Enzo's quality, and I like his passing ability. And I actually have a lot of promise for the dude. But to go into a season and say he's 100% the dude to start and win us league titles, which I'd hope we'd want to get back to, that's where the problem lies, you know what I'm saying? So we really do need to improve in that sense. Big up to Kane, JFT97, who just became a member. And big up to anyone who becomes a member, giving the channel that regular support. Just know as well, there's going to be content specifically for the members as soon as next month. So don't, if you're going to become a member just for the content, don't do it yet because there's no content. If you're doing it just to support the channel, really, really appreciate it. Big up to you, sir. And it's good to have you on board. Queen Nadra. Going on, Queen. How are you doing, love? Queen Nadra, are you a girl or a boy? Know what I mean? You could identify as a box, who knows? If we get Phillips instead of Doucoure, we are fucked up. Oh, chat. Well in. You've reminded Queen Nadra. Do you know why they call you the post woman or man, or post box? It's because you always deliver. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, there's also been these links with Calvin Phillips. Chat, have you seen this? Oh, this is a dude I don't want. Why are we going to get a dude who's just... Why are we linked with ballers who just haven't played football? You know what I mean, chat? You know what I'm saying? Why are we going to be linked with a dude who just does not play footy? Right there, I'm just trying to share my screen. Because Calvin Phillips has been one of those, like, he went to the shop and got some milk. He ain't came back since, you know what I'm saying? I've got an idea. Calvin Phillips on loan to Crystal Palace and Doucoure to Liverpool. Okay, that could be a shout. Where's the news regarding... There it is. Yeah, so some dude called Alex Crook, who's... he's a journalist for TalkSport, which is, anyone affiliated with them. In terms of, like, a journalist point of view, who knows? But you never know. Is Alex Crook, like, reliable, guys? I've heard that he's not too reliable from my sources. My sources suggest, anyway, he came out and said that Liverpool are considering a move for Manchester City midfielder Calvin Phillips. I just want to ask, chat, is that one you're entertaining? Like, are you taking that? For me, I'm all right. I'd rather stay away. Do you know, like, when you and your friends go out and you know, like, the friend has got, like, a less nice looking friend, but they're, like, kind of eyeing you up and you're thinking, oh, I'm Gucci. It's kind of like one of those. Like, I saw Doucoure and I'm like, me gusta. And then I saw Calvin Phillips and I was like, meh. But my mate John would love you. You know what I'm saying? And then I'd start wingman and John. And not John W. Henry. He's not my friend. Big up to you, Queen Nadra. Remember when Pep called him overweight? Who called who over? Oh yeah, Calvin Phillips, the fat bastard, been going on having too many takeaways. Yeah, we can't be having fatties in our squad, chat. We have problems anyway. Literally, you would need to be the fittest of fittest specimens. I want a James Milner replacement in terms of fitness. Oh, what a man! Smash those likes, people, if you're enjoying the content. Appreciate it. Gets it more out there. Algorithm lets be known that James Redmond's live. Lovely. Calvin Phillips would be the worst pickup in the history of Liverpool Football Club and a complete failure. Nah, I think he could do a job. I just don't see him as that guy. I really, really don't. I don't think he's too far above the level of a Tyler Adams, for instance. Like Tyler Adams, Calvin Phillips, Spider-Man moments. You know what I mean? Chat, like, they just look very, very similar. James, who do you think of a 4-2-3-1 formation that we could have Enzo and Doucoure? I'm just thinking that we're low-key I think we're just doing the three at the back thing, chat. I think Klopp's kind of on crack recently, and he's just saying, right, three at the back, Robbo, Verge, and Kanate. And then Enzo and Trent can control the number sixes while everyone else does the shit. I'm not too sure. And our system at times just changes so much. I'm going to need to see how we progress over the season. I'm going to need to see the business that we do. And who is this last midfielder? Because I'd heavily question Gravenberch playing in a six, and I'd question if Klopp played him there. But to be fair, though, he played McAllister there in recent times, so who fucking knows? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Big up to Owen Clements. Big up to you, say. He said, just joined. What's the news? Double transfer. So obviously, that's Simon Jones, who's more of a credible journalist regarding Liverpool news. He came out last night and said that Liverpool are currently looking at Gravenberch and Doucoure. So it necessarily doesn't mean a double transfer and we're going to sign both. What it does mean is it's a possibility, but likelihood is we're going to get one more midfielder. But then a few other reporters who have got somewhat credibility have came out and said we're not looking for an out-and-out six. So the true update is, at the moment, Gravenberch seems to be the one that we are kind of leaning more towards. But as we know, today's news isn't tomorrow's news, and we've got to wait and see how that actually goes down. But either way, I've then got to sit there and say, okay, then, well, if Gravenberch is the transfer, Enzo is the transfer, I love McAllister and Szoboszlai, and I even love Enzo if I was more understanding on what Enzo's role is. If he's a starter, I think we can do better for sure. Like, not even a question. And that's not me disrespecting the man. If he's a utility man, I love that signing because then there's no pressure. It's low risk, but very high reward if it works out. You know what I mean? And I like those type of transfers. I like the element of a player having something to prove. So I like it in that aspect. But I do see Doucoure with a bit more Premier League experience, someone who's a bit more of a physical presence, and he's forward thinking. I think and so is Enzo, which is why he'd be a good backup. But I just think Doucoure would be more suited to the team above Enzo and above Gravenberch. So if we get Gravenberch, and that means we get Gravenberch, Sobo, McAllister, and Enzo, that to me is a 6 out of 10 window. I think we could have done much more. Massive hits with the first three. The Gravenberch one, I have a big question over. Let me know if you agree, chat WRL. Big up to MR Ragav. Massive shout out to you, sir. He says, Fiorentino Luis, Sangara, Gravenberch, Doucoure, and left centre-back shares Theet and Hincapi, but his agent is the same as Caicedo, so doubt of this one happening. Yeah, so first of all, isn't that Theet, that dude's in the middle, this one right here, isn't he an 18-year-old centre-back? And then I don't know who this dude is, so I couldn't tell you about him. And then shares. Why are people bringing up shares, chat? Why are people bringing up shares? Jeez, do you remember when we were linked with Jeremy Doku, chat? Do you think we ever missed something there with Jeremy Doku? Ben Doak's clear blood. Ben Doak's clear blood. Sorry, I need to stop doing the middle fingers like I'm a gang rapper, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck your bitches, fam. Like, I'm literally like, look at me, I'm pale as anything. Like, what the fuck, chat? Doku's a cool dude, man. Doku's like a good player. I think Doucoure, right? He'll do a job for City. But he's not Mahrez, though. He's not Mahrez. And you can sit there and speculate if City downgraded with him. But, I want to have a look at this per share stuff. I really, really do. Before we even mention Greenwood and whatnot, I've still got a long time. I'm going to send the link out soon to Jamie. Just having a little catch up with my chat, you know what I mean, mate? You know what I mean? Okay. Now that's in 2020. I don't like that. Chat, are you recommending the idea of signing shares? Because in terms of an actual link, I ain't seen no one, especially us, being linked to them significantly. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this fan base. Chat, I just want to know if you can see it. Chat, you understand why we're creepy? Chat, wait there. Chat, you understand why no one likes us? Do you understand why no one likes us? Look at that tweet. Look at that tweet. What the fuck does that mean? It means nothing. Oh, why do we do this? Oh, we commented on his captain's post. What a baller. That means he's defo coming. Oh, my days. We literally screenshot comments that were written by friggin' admins. 1 minute you'll be saying no signings, then there's 100 million spent. What a load of bollocks this channel is. Yeah, you're funny, bro, because you misunderstand when you're quoting journalists. Hey, 1 sec, chat. Let me just talk to this guy for a second. Do you want to come in the stream, by the way, Westy? Yeah, let me talk to you. So there's a concept, right? So there's a thing called Twitter. Now, on Twitter, there's numerous journalists in which some are called credible and some aren't credible. So for dumb fucks like you who take every single source as one source, that's why you get confused on channels like this, right? So it's all good and well. You sitting there saying this channel's a load of shite. I weren't the one who was saying that I had inside sources linking us to these things. I am simply here talking to you about the sources. And in case your eyes don't work, you blind bastard, I've been sharing the sources throughout the stream. So just for dumb, incompetent, incoherent fuckers like yourself, you may politely leave the channel if you so wish. It's fine. And also, if you want to stay, I'm not going to hold it against you. But I just ask for a bit more intelligence. You hear what I'm saying, sir? So, Westy, stay rattled, broski. And if you don't like the channel, then go and stick to Twitter and fume at everyone on Twitter. And then while you're at it, go to every other channel who do the same thing. And then go to Sky Sports, which you probably pay for to watch the games, and have a fucking go at them who do the exact same thing. The difference is I'm coming out and letting you know about the credibility of these people. I will let you know on a scale whether or not they're credible or not credible. So if you're so butthurt and you've had a rocket shot up your ass and you don't like the fact that I'm talking about journalists, then I'll agree. I don't think this channel is for you, and I think to you it will be a load of shite. Otherwise, I could have a boss day, mate. You know what I mean? And stop getting rattled at footy YouTubers. Chat, are you onto someone who gets rattled by footy YouTubers? Does that make sense to you? YouTubers get rattled by YouTubers, and then you fucks get rattled by people. I mean, people like him will get rattled by me, by fucks like me. How does a Scouse kid rattle you this much? Come on. Big up to Westy, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Oh, I love this channel. I love you guys as well. You're a boss. You're actually amazing. Big up to Zombo. Massive shout out to you, sir, for becoming a member, and everybody who supports the channel. Absolute legends. I couldn't do none of this without you. And I mean that, chat. Don't think I say that lightly, mate. I know that I have banter with you, and I hope you know that it's always jokes and it's always, love between us. I'll call out feels like that before, but that's just funny. I like to have a go. But overall, I actually really do thank you for everything you do for this channel. You're a boss, mate. Like, I love you to pieces, and you can see the community growing day by day, and I learn so much off you, so really do appreciate it. Emma Ragav, big up to you, sir. Another super chat from this top man. Apparently, Verge suggests shares to our management. Well, listen, I'd take shares. I think he's a very solid centre-back, and I think his resume is certainly good enough to come in and add us an option. And he's only 22, 23, I believe. So I think overall that wouldn't be too bad as well. I think that'd definitely be a shout, no doubt. Pierre said we're not getting another 6. That's right. I did a video on that earlier. That video's out now if you want to watch it after this one. 650 people in the stream chat. Do smash a like. Big up to yourselves. I think Liverpool is going to buy Gravenberch and then Andre in January. I do definitely think Andre is a part of the plans in January. But then you've also got to consider a homegrown player leaving, no? Because wait there, actually, no, this is why Gravenberch and Andre would actually make sense. Yeah, chat, think about this. If we are looking into Gravenberch and we get him over the line, and then we're analysing Andre in January, Well, that's a thing because Andre would be the homegrown spot and then Gravenberch wouldn't apply as a homegrown spot. So it could actually make sense if we're just looking forward to that. James, I have a young podcast when you come on and talk some LFC stuff, no waffling. Send me a DM, bro. Send me a DM and we'll try and get that done, my G. Westy just got smoked by the Hammers pack. Come on, blood. This is what we do out here on Hammers TV, blood. And chat, you know what else? I like it when people call me out. I like it when they think it's me reporting the news and they think it's bullshit. Because then I can just let you know, well, it's not me reporting the news. Is Rhubarb dead or something? What the fuck? Of course she's not. Rhubarb's kicking and well. She's just in my ma's. My ma lives around the corner and then I have my flat. This is my flat where I live. So Rhubarb doesn't stay. Rhubarb just does her own thing. She comes between the gaffs. Whoever's got the most food, that's where she is. James, it's like Caicedo. Whoever's got the most money, that's where he goes. Enzo's fucking clear. James' opinion on Man United starting season so bad, I'm shocked. Well, it's gone from like weird to weirder with the Greenwood stuff as well, which I'll touch on at the end of the stream. I'm kind of happy with the Liverpool talks, and that's such a weird situation, which I just don't like getting into. You know what I'm saying? Big up my guy Zuberi. I need to speak to Zuberi. Zuberi, are you free? Big up, bro, for becoming a member again. Nah, big up to you, bro. I need to speak to you, though, my G. I'll send it out to Jamie as well in a sec. Wait there. Zuberi, come on the channel. Do you want to come on? Would you come on the channel if I put it in the chat? Chat, let me know if you see Zuberi. My guy Zuberi, big up to you, brother. Maybe a mobile centre-back playing number 6 as well for a while until we get Andre. I think that's just what Enzo's here to do. I think if we get Gravenberch, then we actually might see Enzo being the starting number 6 up until January. I'm Lavia. I'm Lavia. Oh, that's funny. Liverpool ask Man City about Calvin Phillips' availability after getting tempting transfer response. If I'm Calvin Phillips, I'm staying at City, you know. Just like, who cares? Like, just go there, stat pad trophies, make double the money than what you're going to make here. And we don't really want him anyway. So I just think that it'll probably be productive if you just stayed there. And I just don't want him. Did all the Thuram links disappear? Yes. Yes, they disappeared a long time ago, my friends. A long, long time ago. Fluminense, I can't never say that name. Manager said Liverpool can buy any of their players, but he can't buy Liverpool. Wait there, what? But the players, but he can't buy Liverpool's. Oh, so their team can't buy our players. The owner said Liverpool can have Andre if they pay 35 million buyout. Oh, fuck that. Are you mad? Why are we going to be paying 35 million for some Brazilian? He's literally from that part of the world. Aren't you supposed to get them for cheaper there? Joseph, little no expert. Is Zuberi in the chat? Can he join? Yeah, because I never saw his comment. What I'll do, Zuberi, if you want to jump in and jump on the stream for a little bit, I'm going to quickly put this on. This link onto the chat right now, and then we'll get Zuberi. For those who don't know Zuberi, he's like he opposes everything I believe about FSG, bro. He's just one of those guys, and like he's just overly optimistic with FSG. He's like, nah, bro, like FSG, they're cooking, man. Nah, he doesn't say that, but like he does have his sort of opinions on them being fine and like a good enough ownership. And some of the excuses he makes for them sometimes is ludicrous. But Zuberi, if you're down, if you want to jump in, my broski, then yeah, you can jump in. Jamie, I'm going to send it in the chat so you jump in as well. Anybody else in the chat who's thinking about joining, you'll probably just get kicked out straight away. So I wouldn't recommend you clicking on this link. But it is in the it is now in the comments. So if you just want to go and click on that and get into the stream, then feel free. 600 people in the stream. Just know it's about to get controversial because when you get the presence of Jamie Phillips and Zuberi, that's when you've got problems, mate. You know what I mean? That's when you've got problems. Great problems, but problems nonetheless. Massive shout out to Zuberi. Huge shout out to me, Michael. Michael, am I saying your name wrong just because it's got an E at the end? You know what I'm saying? Thank you for becoming a member and big up to everyone. Now, chat. Are you ready for some 2 super bangers in the Liverpool space? Controversy has to run. And all of these opinions are great. Gee, Zuberi, is that you with that background, my G?
Hey, you already know what time it is, bro. Class is permanent, form is temporary, fam. You think we're playing out here? Hey, Mike, Jamie, what you saying?
Zuberi, you all right, man?
I'm all right, man. Don't bother with the foolishness today, you know.
Oh,
it's a good moment to be a Liverpool fan.
Zuberi,
no, it's not about...
I'm just saying, Zuberi, you can't come out on the front line and say, oh, Hammers, go easy on me today. I know that it's
No. That's not what I said. Don't put words in my mouth. You always try to do that, bro. I'm saying it's a good moment to be a Liverpool fan.
Now, this is where we have to differ. And Jamie, do you agree with what Zuberi's just said? Do you agree with that quote?
I'm 50-50 on the club right now. So
I
I'm in the
think
middle.
both of you are on crack. Okay, so I think Jamie is 50% more high than I am right now because he said 50-50, which means he's 50%.
Wait, Hammers, you're on zero. You're on zero, Hammers.
Zuberi, you are on the highest of budge, mind you. So do you know when you go and get your bits and bobs? Yeah, I'm not going to imply anymore. Do you know when you get your bits and bobs, you need to start chemicalizing and checking that shit, my brother, because I think it's not going well at the moment. It's one of those things. Yeah, Zuberi, what's to be positive about right now?
1-0 down, come back 3-1. Went down to 10 men and played some of the sauciest football we've seen with 10 men. Listen, I'm not saying all is well. I'm just saying it's a good moment to be a Liverpool fan. I mean, we've seen $1 billion spent. We've seen $1 billion spent, can't get a win. We've seen a manager, oh, he's world class. Been at the club for over a year, don't have an identity. So all I'm saying is, I'm not saying all is well. Don't put words in my mouth. Jamie, I know you say you're 50-50. You probably can elaborate on that at some point. All I'm saying is a good moment to be a Liverpool fan. That's all I've said.
So because of the teams are looking worse than a Suberi, we're in a good moment.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Hammers. I wanted to jump on because I saw your headline, and I'm like, I trust Hammers. So I don't know if you trust the source of that news.
Jeez.
But if that news is real, gotta be a good moment, ain't it?
Nah, Zuberi, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we're going to be getting Gravenberch, and then I'm still questioning the Doucoure thing. I think Gravenberch is probably the one we'll try and pursue more. So, and I hope it's not him because I just don't think he's an out-and-out six. And I've seen in the past 2 games what we've looked like without an out-and-out six. So that's where my problem lies. Yeah, what do you think? You thinking we're going to get a player?
I think we'll get Gravenberch. I think that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's meaty, though, Jamie. That's meaty, innit?
He will be the navigator replacement, in my opinion. That number 8, that mobility in the number 8 position is good on the ball off the bench. Because I was listening to what you were saying earlier about who will be the replacements for who, and I think McAllister and Szoboszlai are basically the Henderson and Wijnaldum replacements of this football team in the midfield because they're the first choices.
Yeah.
I think people like Gravenberch and that will come in will be the replacements for your Oxys and your Fabinhos and players like that are the squad players that will play games but are not the first teamers. And that's what we need. We look at our subs bench. We need more depth in our midfield. There's no doubt about that. I'll be happy with Gravenberch coming off the bench. I think Gravenberch is a fine player, and I think he's got a big future, a lot of prospects.
Jamie, can I give you a 30?
Go for it. Go on.
Do you think that it's a possibility Gravenberch comes in and plays the role that McAllister's been playing in? Because think about it. So I don't think he's better than McAllister, and I don't think he's better than Sobo. And I don't want to keep McAllister at number 6. So the only way that he walks into a number 8 position in the team is if he plays left centre mid and McAllister remains at TM. Because McAllister and Sobo are certified starters. Mm-hmm. So it's fine for him coming off the bench. Do you think he'd be happy to come to us as a rotational option? That's the first question. And second question, if he plays, what's his role? Is it a number 6? Is it box to box? Because I'm confused. Does he try and do one of those transitions, like where Klopp tries to change a player from one position to another?
That could be the thing as well. Like I know a lot of people saying that Klopp could make him a number 6. You know, Klopp has done that before. You look at Genie, he made him more of a defensive-minded midfielder when he's more attacking previously. But it worked because the way Genie Wijnaldum is technically as a footballer could play that role, and Klopp got the best out of him. So he could do something like that with Gravenberch. But I do think, I think Endo's our number 6. I just think he is. I think Klopp rates him. I think Klopp likes him. But I've been saying this for a while. I don't think Klopp wanted Moises Caicedo. I think Jurgen Klopp wanted Lavia. That was the player he wanted in that number 6 role for the future. He wanted Lavia. He saw a lot about Lavia that he really likes. He's good, how good he is on the ball, good press resilient.
Hey, chat, WRL on that. Do you think that's a WT? That's actually a shout, Jamie.
I think that's who he wanted, and the club messed it up. And then this is what does my head in, James. Billy Hogan took over something that he shouldn't have taken over. He shouldn't have got involved and gone in for Caicedo.
Yeah.
That's why you employ a sporting director and you should trust your manager. So I think there was a bit of like Klopp wants Lavia, but Billy Hogan saw a chance of getting Caicedo because Billy Hogan was seeing what everyone's writing on social media and thought, let's go and get in Caicedo. I don't think Klopp really wanted Caicedo. I think his whole attention was on Lavia, and now he can't get Lavia, and that's not gone. I do think Klopp rates Endo more than we might do, because I listened to him in his press conference, and you can tell by the way Klopp talks about him that he feels like he can do a job for us. And I trust Klopp here. If he feels like he can do a job for us, I'm going to trust the manager on this one. And look, I've said it before. If we signed a player that came up breaking news on Twitter and everyone's writing about it, Liverpool in for £75 million footballer that no one's ever heard of, a lot of the fans have gone, well, I'm going to rate that guy straight away because he's £75 million.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Everyone determines whether
Yeah,
someone's good or not based
exactly.
on value alone, which doesn't work. Doesn't work.
And Endo might be good for Liverpool. He might be what Klopp wants. And if he's what Klopp wants, it might work. We'll just have to wait and see on it, ain't we?
Yeah, defo. Zabiri, are you endosexual?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know why you put it like that, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. Threw me off with that one. So I was telling Grizz about Hendo in the World Cup because I've been in the Asian market, and I was telling him about a guy named Ritsu Doan. I was telling him about Daishi Kamada, and I was telling him about a guy in the six named Hendo. Grizz have never heard of any of these Asian baller. Big up to Tom Mizzy. I was telling him about him. We all know about these Asian guys. I rate them highly, and I've always said these guys deserve more opportunities in the Prem. I'd love to see more of these guys in the Prem. Did I believe he was going to come to Liverpool? No. Did I rate him above Fabinho at the time of the World Cup? No. But as Fab start to, go on the descendancy and they start falling off, I'm like, well, it wouldn't hurt to have a guy like him rotating in. But as my main starter, no, man. But the fact that the club went for him, I'm kind of like impressed with my scouting analysis of these players as well, man. Because I'm like, wow. Yeah, I've been saying to man, we can get Gakpo and he can play anywhere we need him to play. But what I would say about the Gravenberch signing, I think that would free up Gakpo from the midfield. Gakpo is an out-and-out attacker. So for us to remold him into a 8 or left side 8, I don't think we're getting the best out of Gakpo doing that. So getting a guy like Gravenberch or DOUCOURE or whoever else we get in, I think the slot Gakpo's taking up now can be on them guys to rotate with your Jones and your Thiagos and whoever else, even McAllister in some games, and that put Gakpo back into the attack. So that's kind of what I want to see. I want a guy that can take that position off Gakpo. Not like Gakpo isn't great, but bro, I'm a big Gakpo fan. I rate him in the 8, but I'd rather get a specialized 8 than a remolded 8. And I rate Gakpo way too highly in the attack for me to sacrifice all his attributes just to accommodate the team, kind of like what we did with Genie. Genie was an attacking player that we turned into a recycle merchant. I don't want Gakpo being a recycle merchant. You see what I'm trying to say? So, I've rated him. I've won another stream and said, Gakpo in the 8 can be a problem. But if we can get an out-and-out 8, I'd rather see that than the remold thing. I don't want Klopp to be this remold merchant either, man. So it's kind of a weird space. So if I'm going off just that premise, I might join Jamie being 50-50 at the moment. But still, with the result and the way the team is looking compared to the other teams, we're still in a good moment. That's all I'm trying to say.
Gee, so wait there. I just want to know how splintery is both of your asses, because you two are sitting on that fence real nicely right now.
You might be wrong. I'm 50-50 because I'm against what the owners have done this summer, but I'm on with Klopp as well. That's where I'm the 50. Like, we're a disgrace behind the scenes. That's what's happening right now at our football club. This summer transfer window. I think everyone got a bit buzzed about this transfer window because reports were saying this is Liverpool's rebuild summer. I don't think Liverpool ever said. I don't think Liverpool ever said themselves this was their rebuild summer. I think reports put it out there, and as you said earlier, James, like there's a lot of reports that say, not journalists that say different things. We just report on it as content creators. It's not like we're picking a subject. It's just
that's right.
Job. And I don't know if Liverpool actually see this as a rebuilding summer. I just think they see it as that quite a few midfielders have left our football club. We need to buy some, otherwise we ain't got enough footballers. I see it as that. I don't see a full-on rebuild in a way, because they look at it and they know top 5 is enough to put them back where they want. And we know the ownership wants Champions League football on a consistent basis because it gives you more commercial revenue and commercial sponsorship and stuff like that. And that's where they want to be to make their money. So for me, what irritates me with the owners sometimes, and a lot of the times, because I don't hate them like the world does, but because I ain't got enough time for hating my life, to be fair. But when I look at them, they just want to do enough to get to Champions League football again.
That's right.
For me, we've done enough to be Champions League footballers next season, in my opinion. But the problem of the fan base is that we're Liverpool Football Club, we demand more than that. And that's where you got this impasse at the moment between us fans and the club itself right now. And that's why I'm saying I'm 50-50.
Nice. What I was going to just do dead quick is just before you go, Zabiri, I was just going to shout out these members. So big up to Michelle. That's Michelle, isn't it, boys? I read that wrong before when I said Michael, didn't I? That's Michelle. Yeah, Michelle. Thank you for becoming a member, Michelle. I apologise that I literally called you a dude's name. Big up to you. Appreciate it. And then shout out to Dinesh, my guy. Big up for becoming a member, brother. Massively appreciate it. And same goes for everybody. And then, of course, from one member to another, we got Mike Dares, fam. We got Mike Dares. Mike, I've got a few interesting comments in the thing. Before you go, Mike, I want you to sort of summarise, because there was 2 points you made there regarding the Endo James Milner thing, and there was another point you made which was interesting. So I want you to keep them in your mind and bring them up once Zuberi said what he's had to say. But how are you first and foremost?
Oh, smashing. Great.
Outstanding, man. No, but James, I just want to let you know where on the fence I'm at. So I'm on the fence, not because of Liverpool, just with Gakpo, because like I said, it's a player that I've rated highly. I don't really have a channel, but I did one show on him talking about how cool he would be having him as a backup to Diaz, or just, competing with Diaz off the left side. Because when certain teams make a substitution, the levels doesn't drop. So to have Diaz run at you all game, and then you see Diaz number go up, you're like, oh, thank God. But then Gakpo comes on and run at you. It's a long day, and it's a great sub to have. So I'm kind of on the fence, because I'm like, I would want him to succeed in the 8, but I wouldn't want fans to go, oh, but look at his goals and his assists. It's not quite there. When really and truly, he's not even in the team to do that. He's just in the team for the hard yards between the defense and the attack. He's a great guy to drive with the ball. You see what I'm trying to say? Through the middle, it was. No, I'm just on the fence with Gakpo. So when I'm on the fence, it's not because of like the club or the owners and stuff like that. James, you already know my vision for the club aligns with Klopp and the owners. So it's not like I have any crazy expectation that they're not living up to. So mine is just with Gakpo in the 8. I want him to do well, but I feel like an out-and-out 8 can probably give us more. And I feel like Gakpo can give us more in the attack versus doing this utility role, linking the transition from midfield to attack. I think that's what he's doing now in the 8. And it doesn't quite work defensively, but going forward, it's always on. He's always there to contribute, do what he needs to, run into the space, driving with the ball, linking up play. That's great, but I feel like he can do more at the top end. So I'm just on the fence to see how that plays out, because I can't see Gakpo playing the left side 8 for the entire season, because that's not his position.
That's the thing for me, though, is just like Gakpo in an 8 when I think we've seen his best. Like, we literally went on like a 7-8 game win streak when he went into that false 9 position. I'm not saying it was I'm not just saying it's because of him, but like him in a number 8 for me just doesn't bring the balance that's required from a centre midfielder. I think as a number 9, I think that's what he does. Or sorry, a false number 9. I think that suits the team much more. Mike, do you want to respond to anything that you've heard? Because I know that you had a few interesting points to make before as well.
For sure. I mean, first and foremost, everyone should be liking the video. There's 256 likes and there's 554 people in here. So like the video.
Yeah.
Also give Jamie a follow. He's got a great channel. But okay, so first and foremost, the first point that I made, if you are okay with Endo playing as the 6, and we all make this comparison to James Milner, then what we need to kind of wrap in our heads is that that's basically saying that you are okay with James Milner being our 6 for the entire season, when the entire fan base was harping on James Milner all last season. So if you're if you're fine with James Milner being the 6 for the whole season, and you think that that team is going to challenge for anything, then that's your opinion. But I can't agree with that. I'm not trying to harp on him as an individual. I think it was a good signing, but I don't think that it is excusable to say that that is a proper 6 for the rest of the season. Which is why I think that we adamantly need to find a true destroyer in the 6 role. We put up 110 million for Caicedo, which means that we have to spend 110 million this summer. We've already spent 20 on Endo, so let's do a little math. Let's do a little bit of math. That's 90. We've got 90 million left to spend. You have to buy at least a proper 6. And I don't care if you don't spend all the 90. Go spend 70 on Doucoure and have a 20 million surplus. But you need a proper ready-made 6 in this midfield that is not being compared to James Milner. And then my second point is with Gakpo, where I disagree with you, is that I think one of the major problems that we have in this team is that when we're in possession and we're in the opposing half, there's too much space in between our players. You've got Jota making runs down the middle, and Gakpo in that sort of 8 position, he's not a good enough outlet. He's much better. He's much better in the false 9. The problem that we saw the whole first half, and the problem that we continue to see, is that we're pushing Diaz wide, we're pushing Salah wide, we're going wide every time into double teams, and there's not enough help. Like, if you really watch this team, there's 40 yards of space in between the ball carrier and the next player. I know that we can get into tiki-taka, football manager, all this nonsense, but it doesn't change the fact that you need outlets. That's something that teams like City do really well in possession if you want to play possession football. I don't think that we should be playing possession football, which is why I don't think Gakpo should be in the 8. So we have to look at both the pros and the cons of these situations. It's the same thing as Alexis McAllister playing in the 6. Big up Uncle Albert talking about how by playing him there, you're losing all of his offensive capabilities. You're basically saying, I know that you can do this. I know you can do this job, but I'm gonna chop off an arm and a leg for doing it because I'm not getting the beneficial part of your game, which is another reason why. Like, check Doucoure, he's not anyone's first option, but he's a proper destroyer. He will sit back and he will make tackles and he will win balls. Endo will do the same thing, but we know that he's like at the end of the day, he doesn't have the same legs as someone like Doucoure, and he's not Premier League made and ready to go. So I like the signing, but you have to take into account that if we're going to compare him to James Milner, that means that you're okay with James Milner being the 6 for the rest of the season. And I don't think how anyone can agree to that point, if that makes sense.
Bro, I think did anyone else say bars?
It's just the Milner comparison. That's the only thing that's doing me.
Which?
Are we only comparing Milner because of age?
Right. So, Jamie, if you've got a problem with Mike comparing Enzo to Milner, the problem we've got is Klopp did the same thing.
Is it just the age thing? Is that what we're comparing, or are we comparing?
No, the role.
No, because Endo is the thing is though. Endo is an out-and-out DM. He is an out-and-out number 6, right? That's his position. So
that's a fair point.
So Klopp has viewed a DM that he can get in that he rates to play that number 6 position. Us as fans might not rate it. This is where we're at a pass, ain't it? This is the difference. Us as fans, we're different because fans are different, but Klopp rates Endo as the 6. We've seen all the way he talks about him, them video clips we've seen of him. And look, let's be fair, he trusts him already. We were down to 10 men and he threw Endo on for his first game with 10 men, right? So that tells me straight away my manager actually really trusts him. So for me, he is our number 6 unless we go by one. I know everyone keeps talking about Doucoure, but Doucoure's playing more defensively because he's at Crystal Palace, yeah? So he's under more pressure. Doucoure's more box-to-box than anything, right? Endo is a more number 6, more of a defensive midfielder than Doucoure is. So if you go and get Doucoure, Endo's still better probably in that number 6 role than Doucoure would be, because Doucoure is more of a box-to-box. He's more of an athlete, where Endo is more of that defensive. When you hear Endo talk,
number 8 last season, Doucoure.
Yeah, he just defends because he's at Palace. That's the way he plays.
I see what Jamie's saying. I kind of agree with Jamie because at Palace you'll be on the back foot more, so you'll be doing a lot more defensively. And the only reason I would disagree with the Milner comparison, Milner was just a utility legend. Let's give him his respect. The guy can play anywhere on the pitch. Put him in goal, probably keeps you a clean sheet or even win the game.
Zuberi, do you know your ownership? They were the ones who forced Milner out, and there was a reason why Klopp wanted to keep Milner, because he was that utility option. You know what I'm saying?
It's great having utility guys, but the difference with Hendo now is Hendo's actually a 6. He may not be top 10 in the world 6, but that's all he's been playing. He hasn't been utilized anywhere else. He's an out-and-out 6. So when you're comparing a utility legend, he shouldn't trump the guy that's been in the job for years. Whether or not the levels are the same or whether or not Hendo at the 6 is equivalent to Milner at the 6, that's a different conversation. But I don't think you can compare a utility legend up against a specialist. You see what I'm trying to say? So I think it's a bit disingenuous to Hendo because he came on 10 men down for his debut, didn't concede a goal, didn't look out of place, doesn't even know all the players' name. He's probably running around calling people by their shirt number. So the guy came on and shore up the game. We actually played pretty well with 10 men down, and he was on the pitch. Can I say Milner coming on in that moment would have shored up the game the way he did? It remains to be seen. Milner, for me, utility legend. Hendo, for me, I'll probably give him a 7 to an 8 in most days because, like I said, I rate the guy before he even came here as a 6. I didn't rate him above Fab because Fab was just a cold guy at the time. But now he's here, man. We can't compare a specialist with a utility guy. That's like you saying, yo, you know what, James Redman, you're running this channel, and I just come over here. I don't even run channels, and I'm acting like, oh, nah, me and Hammers are the same because I did one video. Bro, you've done hundreds of videos. That'll be disingenuous. You see what I'm trying to say? So I don't think the comparison is fair. And if Klopp is even comparing Hendo to Milner, I don't think it's at a disrespect or disadvantage to Hendo. It might even be a praise. Like, nah, man, this guy can come in and do a job equivalent to Milner.
It went in disrespect. It was definitely a praise because he came out and we all know how highly favoured Milner was to Klopp, and we know how important Milner was to Klopp. So here's where I get stuck, and I'm very open to the idea of this being a Jurgen Klopp decision, but I find it very difficult to sit there and say, okay, then Jurgen Klopp was the man who decided, okay, let's let go of Milner, which we know he never. Let's let go of Henderson and let's let go of Fabinho, and let's replace those dudes with Endo. That's where I sit there and go, okay, now I've got a couple of issues. See what I'm saying, boys? And chat, you understand?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there now thinking, okay, fine. If he's identified Endo as a good enough player, great. But then, okay, now we've still got to wait for it. Okay, because this is the way I'm thinking. Oxlade and Naby went for free. I'm looking at McAllister and Sobbo as the replacements for them because they were still combined £100 million assets, right? And then we've got Milner, we've got Henderson and Fabinho. So if Klopp sat there and said Endo can replace all of those 3 players in the latter 3 that I mentioned, if that's his choice, I would think that is a terrible choice from the manager. If that's an FSG choice or something, or the recruitment people's choice, then again, I've got massive issues. Regardless of whose fault it is, I'm not trying to do the debate on who's to blame. That's a proper clusterfuck up, however way you want to look at it, and it's just not good enough, boys. It's just not good enough. You know what I mean? And I'm a fan of Endo. I love Endo more than yous, but he's just you know what I mean?
I don't have any problems with him. I just like the overarching point here that I think we're kind of glossing over is the 110 million bid. So, like, regardless of what we think of Endo, how highly we rate him, we all know that we need more players because at the end of the day, even if he is the start, we need more depth in this team. What do we have? 23 players at the current moment. We need more depth. So, if there's 90 million left to spend, I don't care who you spend it on. Just go and spend the money. Show some ambition. Show some desire to get us to the next level. Because as highly as I rate Endo, I'm not going to lie. Endo in the 6 against Newcastle, with the way that we want to play, with the way that Jurgen wants to play, I don't know if he can do the job. Which brings up another question of the system and the way that we're playing and the capabilities of the players that we're putting out there. Which I think if we change things up, Endo would work better. But regardless, like overarching point, we still have 90 million. That money should be being spent. Whether you think it's on DOUCOURE, whether you think it's on this right wing Bakayoko, whether you think it's on Henkape or Schurz, wherever, it needs to be spent because this team needs players. That's like,
I agree.
That's what the overarching theme is here. And I don't think that anyone has a problem with Endo because, like Zuberi said, I agree. He did a great job. He came in. We let up 2 chances, but we were down to 10 men. So that's going to happen, and that's why we have the best goalkeeper on the face of the earth back there in goal. But regardless, we need to spend the money if we want to be serious. And we put up the money, and I agree with Jamie. I think it was completely out of pocket, and it ruined the Lavia deal. And I think that if we got Lavia, we'd all be sitting here saying a completely different tune. We'd all be much happier.
That's right.
Because we'd have a young player who's invigorating the squad. So like it's more about the money and spending it on what we know that we need, whether or not it's the right player. We have to spend it. We kind of put ourselves up against the wall. I don't have a choice anymore. I have to make the decision. You know what I mean?
This is why I'm confused about everything.
Jamie, do you know, just before you go, just very quick, hold that thought.
Cool.
Can I just read these 2 super chats out real quick?
Of course, man. Cool.
My guy. He just says, shout out to Rishi. He just says, Milner was not a 6, so cannot compare. And then his follow-up super chat was him saying, don't forget Milner started as a winger. So essentially mentioning the utility option that Milner was. So that's the differences in some ways. But then you've got the people who claim that Endo can play centre-back, right-back, CDM, even though, like Zabiri said, the past 3 or 4 seasons, he's only played predominantly as a CDM. So he is more of a specialist in that sense. But what was you going to say, Jamie?
Yeah, I was going to say, big up to all the people super chatting, by the way. And don't forget that like button and subscribe. It's a confusing time because, you hear Klopp come out in the press conference and said that he wanted Endo 3 years ago. Now, he apparently wanted Endo 3 years ago, but the ownership said no because he was too old at 27 at the time. Now, I understand that the ownership, no matter what, like them, love them, whatever you think about them, they have a particular set of when they go and buy players between that 21, 25-year-old age.
Wait, where did you hear this, Jamie?
He said it in his press conference.
Wait there, so Klopp came out in a press conference and said that he wanted Endo 3 seasons ago?
Yeah, he tried to buy him 3 years ago, but the club said...
Yeah, Hammers, sorry to cut across you there, Jamie. Hendo said he was really looking forward to the move as well, even recently before he came. But he still was under the impression that we as a club wouldn't come in for him after the Caicedo thing fell through because he already know we don't buy certain player at certain age. But what I would follow up on that and say, Jamie, is, and this is what I've been trying to tell you, Hammers, that you haven't been allowing it to simmer in, which is fair to you, my guy, the club is allowed, just like humans, to grow and evolve and learn from their mistake. Remember when Klopp came out and said he would never buy...
Yeah, get on this, though, Zabiri. If they are repeatedly being shitbags, then we've got a problem.
Yeah, no. But that's a different debate. But what I will say is, even when Klopp said, but hold on, let me learn, and you see where I'm going with this. When Klopp said I wouldn't buy a guy for 100 mil or I'd walk, and then we're all of a sudden putting up 100 mil, it goes to show that the club has learned from their mistake, not just as a manager or as an owner or a backroom staff. They learned that the ways that they're set in with, or the model, or the way they approach the game could be wrong, to your point, James, where you're saying, yo, it's not being run right and it's not being dealt right. And I think signing Hendo is a small step towards fixing some of these weird decisions that the club keeps making, like not trying to buy a guy 100 mil because they don't think it's needed. You see what I'm trying to say? All of a sudden, they're putting up 115 mil. Not buying a guy because of his age. All of a sudden, they're buying a 30-year-old. So what I'm trying to say to you is the club, from ownership and manager, is learning the error of their ways, which predominantly probably got us in this position. Because we as a club shouldn't say we're not going to buy a guy for 100 mil. That's ridiculous talk. A manager shouldn't be saying, yo, I'm not going to buy a guy for 100 mil or I'd walk. You shouldn't be saying that at this level. You see what I'm trying to say, James? So signing Hendo could be the small step to starting to make the right moves. Is it too late? James, you probably couldn't say it is. For me, I'm just like, look, I'm a fair guy. If they're growing and learning, fair play to them. Could be too slow for some people. It could just be the right speed. Being cautious in that. Klopp came out last season and said, hey, we were risk averse. We're not trying to take certain risks. We need to start taking these risks. It could be, buying players at a certain price or buying players at a certain age. Hendo for me shouldn't be the end all be all. So we need more in. But let's just give the club time to work it out. And I'm not here to ask for like any forgiveness with the owners and none of that stuff. But we can see the approach from the club has been wrong. And we can also see them making more aggressive or positive moves. Or you can say more risky moves. Because signing Hendo can go wrong. Because he's not prem proven. Look at his age. So it's one of them ones.
You're my guy, Zuberi. You're my guy, innit?
Hey, I'm here, man. I'm here. What are you saying?
I just want you to know you're my guy. That's all. I'm just saying that we're boys and we're my G. So spud me a sec. Come on, one sec.
Hey, I'll spud you up, man. What are you saying?
You are tapped, broski. Right?
No, man, I can't be tapped, man. Elaborate how I'm tapped.
Can I land? Because I let you land in it. I let you do a Shakespearean monologue, lad. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let me say one thing before you land. The runway's yours after this. Let me just clear the runway. You're a disgrace, but I'll let you do this. Go on.
No, but let me clear the runway before you land because I don't want any interference when you land, right?
By the way, what I say does not interfere with what you said. It's a response.
No, I understand, but I want to make sure because you let me land. Let me clear the runway so you can land. When you say I'm tapped, I think it's kind of out there for people to spin it up all kinds of way, right? And you're my guy, and I rate you.
Oh, no, it was
Me
just
being
banter, bro. I'm
tapped.
not trying to think.
Yeah, me being tapped, bro. It's because you're basically saying, I hope I don't fall in the top reds category for this, bro. The way I perceive football and the way you perceive football is different, right? So for you to perceive it different and go, nah, my guy, you're tapped.
You don't even know my point. You're trying to preempt me point too, Barry. Wait there.
Oh, I was trying to clean the runway. All right, land it.
Wait, that was just banter, bro. I'm not trying to say like anything offensive, and I'm certainly not trying to get the audience or whatever. I thought you made a tap point, though. That's what I thought. So here's what I'm saying. So you mentioned about the fact that Jurgen Klopp and the club could be making a change because opposed to these big money signings, they're actually getting the people that Jurgen Klopp wants. Let me just make sure I've got you. I'm on the right track. Am I on the right track?
Yeah. Runway's clear.
So here's the problem. So there's recent decisions that Jurgen Klopp has been overturned by, and Jurgen Klopp even still had to beg, according to reliable supports, for this transfer. So even though you can sit there and say, well, they've done right things, well, I can sit there and say, well, 3 years ago we wanted this player and didn't get it. But let's say they have changed based on your premise. Well, actually, no, not necessarily, because we were going to go and get Caicedo, which there's speculation, which did Klopp even want Caicedo? And even when he mentioned Caicedo in the press conference, he seemed a little bit confused. And he also seemed very adamant on going in for Lavia. But then it seemed like somebody interfered. We could suggest that was the CEO who said, you know what? The ownership's under a lot of pressure. This would be a big deal. And from a marketing standpoint, there is a serious statement that is made when a club goes out and breaks a transfer record. And that's something that I'm sure we can all agree on. So I don't think when you fail to get Caicedo and then you fail to get Lavia, you can then sit there and say, well, the club have proper changed their approach. Look at the fact they're buying Endo to go. Endo was the last resort after option 1, 2, 3, and 4 failed. So here's the score, brother. This approach you're talking about being so fine and efficient is an approach which still means we miss out on top targets. And even though Endo was identified and is a fan favourite from a Jurgen Klopp perspective, the owners wouldn't have let Klopp have this player. So I don't even think Klopp should just always get what he wants. I think his player recruitment can be a little bit one to question. But let's say you do give him said player recruitment. Well, now you're actually making him beg, getting it on his hands and knees for players. So we weren't going to get Endo unless the previous deals didn't fall down. Do you hear what I'm saying? So that's why your point didn't actually... I think it landed a bit mad on the runway. You get what I'm saying?
Nah, it landed smooth, you know, because here's how the last window ended.
Sure.
We didn't get our targets, and we ended up with 0, right, Jamie? And we ended up dragging Arthur last day. Would you want to see us dragging a player on the last day of the window again? So what I said by making progress, I never said it was a big step. I said it was a small step because we didn't get primary targets, and at least you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I landed. It's small steps. No, but
you're saying it's a step. I'm saying you're covering your track. So in fact, you're going back to cover up the shit that you've caused. And then now you're waiting to move forward, and we won't know if you can move forward efficiently, broski. So like I hear you, but you're twisting it too bad. You're good at this.
I think that, listen. So you're talking about giving the club time, making small steps forward. My counter argument to you would be that the club allowed this to brew for 3 years, right? We all knew that this was coming. We all knew this last summer. We all knew this the summer before. So, regardless of whether or not they're starting to make decisions now, because before they were making no decisions, and now you're just excusing the fact that they are making any decisions at all. Meanwhile, they probably ran just the most idiotic transfer saga in the history of transfer sagas. Like, you're in the race for a player for 3 weeks who wants to come to your club, and then you make a rash decision to try to break a British record without agreeing to personal terms. So at the end of the day, regardless of the decisions that you're making, they're completely wrong. And you're neglecting the primary decision, which is putting a sporting director in place to trump people like Klopp. Because at the end of the day, he's a manager. And he can't do it all. He can't scout players, sign players, train players, play players, organize a system. That's why there's multiple different levels to a structure of a football club. So the first thing that they've done, the first decision that they've really made since Michael Edwards left, was never replacing him, which has now led into a catapult effect. Which is now boiled over into where we are right now. And now, you know, your point is that because we signed Endo, all of a sudden it shows good faith. I say it's completely wrong. It's a total panic buy. Regardless of whether or not Klopp wanted him, we can go down a laundry list of players that Klopp has rejected, whether it's Enzo for 15 million, whether it's not wanting Mo and wanting Julian Brandt instead. There are so few managers in the world who I would completely trust being the sporting director. And at the end of the day, I don't think that major clubs are run that way. Regardless of who the manager wants, the sporting director is in charge of putting the players in front of you. Whether or not you like it, I'm going to go out and buy that player. The problem
Even
is that
Pepe's running City.
Exactly. We've missed that essential component, and that is down to FSG. All of this other stuff, it's political hogwash. It's smoke and mirrors. It doesn't matter because we're ignoring the root cause of the problem. It's like saying I've got a bullet wound and I don't know why I'm bleeding. You're bleeding because you got shot, and you haven't addressed the fact that you got shot. When Michael Edwards left, we had a bullet wound. We haven't replaced it, and now we're just in this absolute haywire of just idiocy, in my opinion. So I like the fact that the club went out and did something, but there's still 90 million on the table. There's still no sporting director, and we're still looking at the wrong thing. Jurgen does not deserve blame for this. Like, I can't put blame on him for rejecting a player. If I was the sporting director, I'd say, get over it. You're gonna use it. Oh, you've had Naby Keita and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and all these guys sitting on the same team. I don't care. Every other team is evolving. Evolve. I'm selling him. I'm selling him. I'm buying him. I'm buying him. Get over it. And you know what Jurgen would do? He'd say, fine, I'll make it work. But the problem is that we don't have that big boy in the back room to boss things around. And so, you know, regardless of all of these, you know, goodwill actions, they're in my eyes, they're pretty pathetic actions, and we have ignored the root cause of the whole issue. If that makes sense.
Can I ask you a question? Because I heard everything you said, and what you're saying isn't what I was saying. I mean, you've said more than what I was implying as well. What I'm implying is the club ability to break the mold of not going for a guy worth 100 mil and not signing a player based off age. I don't think those two things should be a factor when you're signing someone. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? So
Yes.
for the club to break that mold is the small step I'm talking about. But once again, I never said it was a big step. I never said it was something to gloss over. All I'm saying, it's good to see the club change their approach in the window, because those are two things holding us back from signing players.
That's an approach that wouldn't have been made if they didn't fuck up with the Caicedo deal. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're saying that approach is because Caicedo fell, and that's a fair observation. I'm not saying it isn't. What I'm saying is I'm just glad they didn't go, oh, we can't get Caicedo, so we're not going to sign anyone, because that's what they did last summer. I'm just glad they didn't do that, bro.
On the floor, because they've just done the bare minimum, and you're now giving them credit for doing the bare minimum, which is great. It's like, okay, well done for doing the bare minimum, but now we're talking about the minimum. Imagine if I was at work and I just done the bare minimum. It's like, okay, well, in James, you're doing that, but it would be nice if you could help out just a little bit more. You know, we treat you nice here, we do this and that. If they're doing just the bare minimum for a club of our standards, don't you have an issue with that?
Oh, 100%, man. But the window ain't over, and your video title that were linked with two people, I don't know how true it is or not, but like I said, bro, it's the reason I'm saying it's good, bro, for us in a good time. We know we have money, bro. We know we have money. He keeps bringing up the money. I'm excited we have money.
I just want to respond to Zuberi real quick. Zuberi, the point that I was trying to make is that you're pointing to we made the record bid, and you're viewing that as the move forward. The issue that I have is that the record bid should never have happened. We should never have gotten to the point of having to make the record bid. So now you screwed me over, and then you went on and you tried to help it, but you knew that it wasn't going to work, and now you're expecting me to be okay with the fact that you screwed me over in the first place, when we all know that we didn't have to get screwed over. So I do agree with you. I like the fact that the club are finally pulling their head out of their ass and deciding to do something. The issue that I have is that they allowed it to boil over to this point, the root cause. Like when I think of things, I don't like to look at all of the surface level stuff. I like to dive deep and figure out, why are we here? And at the end of the day, we're here because of the decisions made in the past, and the decisions that have made presently are not doing enough to rectify those in the past, and are not doing enough to convince me that anything will change in the long term. Because at the current moment, I truly believe that we're not going to sign anyone. We're going to have to use Endo as our 6 and Stefan Bajetic as our 6 and McAllister as our 6 for the whole season. And to me, that makes my blood boil because this team is full of talent and is 1-6 and one left center back away from challenging for the title. We have such offensive capabilities, and yet we're completely neglecting, again, the bullet wound that we have kind of left in ourselves. So I hear what you're saying, but my point was more towards the fact that we never should have been put into position to make a rash record bid for a player that we didn't agree personal terms with, while also in negotiating to sign a potential wonder kid at 19 years old, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we should have got Lavia. Lavia should have been done. That transfer should have been done. I think if Julian Ward was still at the football club, in my opinion, that transfer gets done. I thought Julian Ward was all right. I don't think it's ever going to come out why Julian Ward left. I think we know why Michael Edwards left. He had a 10-year plan and he wanted to leave after that. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, but I think Michael Edwards just wanted to stay at a couple of 10 years and move on. With the Julian Ward one, it's weird because he knows how the club was run. He was working at the club for a while, so he knows how the club is run. For him to just leave after 6 months is a bit balmy. We're never going to know. But you are right. The sporting director should take charge. The sporting director should just be, if we got a sporting director that's too much of a pussy to stand up against Jurgen Klopp, get a new sporting director. Get the right one in. This is Liverpool's big thing now. After this summer window, give George a few e-vapes, give him a Top Shop voucher, and send him on his way. Do you know what I mean? And we don't need to see him again. We need a new sporting director in that knows the market. I like Dougie Freeman from Palace. This might not be a fashionable thing. I think Dougie Freeman's got a very good eye for talent at Crystal Palace. He's a very good scout and sporting director. I like someone like him. I like the man that was at Man United for a couple of
Ragnick.
Yeah, he would have been way better.
He would be quality.
Ralph Ragnick has got a great eye for talent.
He'd be great.
He told Man United all the players they should go and get. That ended up going elsewhere. That's why he fell out with them. He hates Man United. So that, and he loves Jurgen. So that,
he likes Jurgen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that would be a lovely combination there.
He's a German.
For talent, and I think he will tell Jurgen, "No, these are the players we're getting in. You're going to coach them because you're a quality coach, and you can do that." So that's what Liverpool need to do after this summer debacle is over. They really do. But I think we live in a world today where us fans might rate players that our club don't.
Yes. 100%.
And unfortunately, when players come to our football club, because they're players we don't rate, we don't get behind them straight away all the time. And then after a bit of time, after a while, when we see what the club actually saw in them and the ability of them to play in Jurgen Klopp's system, we talk about it. I've always spoke about it. Liverpool never really had the best midfield, right, when we were winning things for individual talent, yeah? Gini Wijnaldum, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho. That was our midfield three. That won everything. Was it better than some midfields in Europe's top leagues and top European teams? Probably not. But they understood and knew the system Klopp wanted to play. They were able to understand what Klopp wanted them technically. And also, they didn't cause dramas behind the scenes. They were workhorses for a football club. And Jurgen takes all that into consideration as well. And that's what we need to get back to, in my opinion. I've always said it. We need to get back to that 4-3-3, that German efficient 4-3-3 that Klopp used to play, in that midfield. That's an efficient midfield, and he used the creativity around it. And I've always said it. I think Dominic Szoboszlai and McAllister were bought to enable Trent Alexander-Arnold to be a better player.
Really?
And to get the best out of Trent Alexander-Arnold. But at the moment, Klopp can't do it.
Jamie? I'm not saying there isn't one. What do you think the direct link is there? What's the benefit for Trent?
I think Klopp understands what we understand about Trent Alexander-Arnold with his defensive output compared to his going forward output. He knows that Trent is never going to be that clicked-on defender we all want him to be. Trent hasn't got that thing in his mindset where he goes, "I've got to step back 5 yards now because that ball over the top's a potentially going to come." That's not in his makeup. Is I've got to get on the ball to release Mo Salah. That is what Trent is. And I think with the better players around him with that mindset and that skill, Szoboszlai he was a beast in that midfield. McAllister is creativity. He can keep the ball. Klopp's already said he wants to be a passing, progressive team. You know, wants to be a possession-built team that can then counter-press and get further forward. Well, if you want Trent in the best positions, that'll go and make Liverpool better because he's the best on the ball that we got at that final ball. Players like McAllister and Szoboszlai with their quality make Trent's job a lot easier. But we can't do that yet until we've got that defensive mind for his midfielder will go, guys, you're all right here. I've got all this. Don't worry about it, like Fabinho used to do. Go and do your thing. Until we get that, and I think that's what Klopp's hoping Endo is, just that no nonsense, can read a run, will just take a player out, can win the ball back and just give it simply to McAllister Szoboszlai, push Trent up the field, get him in creative areas, and I think we look a better football team. I think that's what Klopp wants, in my opinion.
I think that's a good shout. Do think that's a good shout. Boys, you are all legends for jumping on as well. I was only just going to run through a final few questions that I thought would be interesting for conversation. Obviously, there was someone saying that United are no longer in for Amrabat. I don't know how true that is. Is that someone that you would be open to in terms of bringing in as somebody above Endo? It's probably not my number one choice, I'll be honest. I also don't think he's too much better than Endo. But anyone tickle the fancy of Amrabat?
I think Liverpool they don't want him now.
No.
I think
I'm with the club, man. If the club ain't feeling you, I'm not feeling you either, man.
Oh,
what? Where did he go?
Our channel now.
James is gone. James is like, I've had enough of this convo.
Yeah, man is like, Zabiri said he's aligned with the club. I'm out of here. Nah, the way I am, man, is if the club ain't feeling you, I'm not feeling you. And to Jamie's point, there are some players that I'm feeling that I do hope the club is feeling, but you know, I don't know. I'm not the best scout out there. I just rate certain players, and I think some of them can fit in our system. Amrabat, people are trying to convince me. I'm still not sold. I rate him for the league he's in. I rate him as a player, but rate him for Liverpool, I think that'd be a massive gamble.
I don't think Amrabat can do the role that Klopp wants his number 6 to do.
Exactly.
I don't think so either.
That's why it's not gone in for him, because if you look at him, he's perfect age, perfect transfer fee, perfect structure, perfect wages. Everything is a Liverpool sort of transfer, but I think there's something about the player that Klopp don't want in his number 6. I don't think Amrabat's the one.
Nah, do you know what? This is a good point as well, though, because I mentioned Pavard would be someone who'd be like that defensive mind. Right
this
back.
This is the best comment that you've put up.
Literally £25 million for like a World Cup winner. I'm not saying it would be numero uno, but for an option, and if you want to consider yourself a serious club by getting options, I think that could have most certainly been a shout, to be fair. Just like a defensive-minded player, you know what I mean? It gives Trent that license to really go forward as well. And if you want to do the 3 at the back, I think Pavard could do the 3 at the back thing better than Robertson.
But the thing is that we're not even like that's another big problem I'm having. We're not playing 3 at the back. Like, we're playing 2 at the back. That's what the team is set up like week in and week out right now. When you're looking at it, Robbo is so far upfield. Trent is so far upfield. It's just Konate and Virgil on the halfway line. So this back 3, in reality, when you really look at it, it's a back 2, and that's why we're getting cut open time and time again. We don't have enough bodies back. So, like, I understand, you know, Klopp wanted to go back to this new system, but you know, the system isn't even the same that it was. We weren't playing a back 2 3 years ago. And now all of a sudden we are, because everything is just so discombobulated. Maybe the blame is on Trent being inverted, and now it's a little bit too late because Dom is too good. I mean, he tracks back. He's excellent in defense. He's got unbelievable legs. So, like, I used to want Trent in midfield. Like, now there's not really an option, because I'm not dropping Szoboszlai to put Trent in midfield. That's not happening.
No, it's madness.
And so maybe, you know, again, you can go back to the sporting director and the scouting and the vision of the system. But like, we're playing a back 3. I'm sorry, we're playing a back 2.
We play 1-on-1 defending. Yeah, 1-on-1. We play 1-on-1 defending, but we're always going to be kind of risky at the back, no matter who we get in. And if they're all the best players in the world, Klopp's
we've always been like that, innit?
We're always going to be a bit risky because it's the way Klopp wants to play, and that's just the way it is. But I want Trent just to be a right back again. That's what I want. I don't want this inverted nonsense. I'm sick of it, because Trent wanders too much in that inverted role.
He does.
He went across his back 4 on the weekend to the left back position. You should never do that as a midfielder, full stop, let alone being the inverted right back.
He's getting in Mo's way too. Like, every time they're going up the right side of the pitch, it looks so discombobulated because you got Trent. I mean, the amount of like the amount of discombobulated overlapping runs that we saw on the right side with Trent and Mo and Szoboszlai, it's like there's no coherency. It's almost like it's just frantic chasing of the ball. It's like Rocket League. It's just, you got a bunch of ball chasers and no one's rotating and there's no outlet. So it's too much chaos.
Do you know what? Do you know why it works with players like Ben White and John Stones? Why they can do that inverted role? Because they're defenders first. That's the difference. Trent's not.
Another thing that you guys I hear what you're saying about the back two, but it's never really been a back two. It's always been a back three. The issue with the back three is when the 6 Fab, when he drops into the split center backs, the space between Fab and the other 2 8s, it's too wide. There's way too much space in there. So what tends to happen is once Fab steps out in the wrong moment, we're getting cut open. If he doesn't step out, we're being run at. And when we're being run at, the recovering 8s are always behind the play. Your Hendersons, your Ox, whoever they are, they're always behind the play. And then Robbo and Trent are way too wide to come and cut them off in the middle. So it's just a free run at the back 3, or Fab's just getting run past, and it's just a free run at the back 2. So the system, it's one of the risks you have to take in football. You have to go, where can I concede space? And where you don't want to concede space is right in front of that so-called makeshift back 3. So what Klopp has done is go, hey, Trent, go inverted to cut out that space, and we'll now concede space down the wings, which is also not a good place to concede space if you have pacey wingers that's running at you. Because now Konate's way out there like a right back. And if he gets run past, it's game over. And Robbo, when he tucks in as a back 3 center back, that's not really Robbo's strongest suit either. So we're playing this catch-22 with the makeshift defense where we just look out of place from a high line trying to press the team in to just a back 2 like you guys are pointing out. So I think that's something tactically, if we get the right guy, and I'm not saying Hendo's that, but if we get the right guys, plural, that we can rotate because they're going to be covering a lot of space and get leggy, we need to be rotating in those positions. Pavard, I'm glad you guys like Pavard because I liked him as well, but nobody I talk to rates him for Liverpool. So I'm glad you, man, rate him as well.
Zabiri, this is one thing we agree on. I spoke to so many people about this Pavard dude, and for some reason, everyone looked at me.
They don't rate him.
He was just like, oh, shit. I thought he was decent. Especially defensively as well, because he has that centre-back, right-back versatility about him. I thought it had made sense, to be fair.
What do we think with Mo Salah's new position this season?
Me no gusta.
Because
I don't.
He said me no gusta.
Like Salah's playing like a free role. I don't know if anyone's noticed this. He's got like a free role.
That's what he was trying. Jamie, do you remember last season when Darwin Núñez was the main outlet at the start and Salah pushed all the way to the fucking touchline?
We've done it again. We've done it
He's
again.
doing that.
We gave him another role. He's got a free role. So Positional's going into that right wing area sometimes, ain't he? And like Mo's coming deep and it's like, what are we doing? Look.
Listen, Jamie.
Try and increase the assists and get a new outlet and make the outlet the middle.
Mo Salah's your main goal scorer. Just get the man around the goal. Just get the man around the goal.
Exactly.
I think that's simple. I think that's simple, and I think Salah's on the fence. And hear me out. Salah as a goal threat is great, but we also now have other goal threat. So are we still trying to play into Mo, or we're trying to get Mo to be a playmaker? Because Mo as a playmaker during even a preseason wasn't that bad. But I think in moments, Mo is getting caught in two minds, like, oh, I'm still the go-getter guy. When it's like, nah, Mo, square that off, man. So what we need Mo to do, it's not even a system thing or a club thing. I think this is a Mo thing. He needs to make his mind up about which one he's doing. It's either going to be playmaker Mo, because we have other guys that can finish. Jota, great finisher. Gakpo can finish. There's other players. Szoboszlai, he's a runner. He's there. Mo needs to just make his mind up and either going to be goal-scoring Mo or playmaker Mo. And I think right now he's caught up in two minds, and we need Mo to just be a playmaker now. So
it's a theory. I think Mo would be Mike. I think Mo would be better once Gakpo goes back to the number 9 position. Because I've seen it for a while now. I think Mo's better with a false 9 than he is with an out-and-out number 9.
Someone even said it with Mane. I remember when Mane went to false 9 and he was the one creating the majority of Salah's chances.
Salah is better as well. In that false 9. Salah is better with a false 9, a player that's going to drop deep so Salah can get in them gaps in between. and stay on that width for the 18-yard box. I don't think Mo works with an out-and-out striker too well because he has to be the assister. He doesn't want to be that winger who knocks in balls all the time. He's greedy, man. Man wants to score goals. If you look at Jota, I don't think Jota and Salah complement each other that well when Jota plays central. I think when Gakpo plays central, I think Gakpo complements everyone around him. I.e., a bit like the way Bobby used to. Now, if he can ever get to Bobby's standards, then we've got a heck of a player. But it's that same thing. He complements everyone around him. Everyone looks better for the fact if he's sitting up top. I think that's when we'll look better. I think going forward, Liverpool will probably look a lot better in the weeks and months to come. I really do. Once they get used to more of this system, Endo's got himself in the team. He knows what he's doing now. He knows all the players. He's training well. He knows the system. McAllister will be... My only worry on all this is McAllister might not be the McAllister we bought from Brighton because he might have to do more defensive work than we want him to. But he's still far better than who we had in that position before. So
that's right.
It's still an upgrade in our game. And then we've got Thiago come back who's a controller off the bench, if he ever comes back. Then you've got Stefan who's going to play games. Look, I think we've got a basis of having a good season. We've got 4 points in our first 2 games. The point away against Chelsea is not the worst result in the world. We beat Bournemouth. We beat Newcastle. If we beat Newcastle on a weekend, I think we can look at this before the international break and go, ain't a bad start to the season, and it could only get better and better, in my opinion.
Not bad. Hey, boys, go on. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one last point on this whole Mo thing, because it was the same thing last season, and it drives me insane. People are giving him slander without understanding what's going on. Why are you getting mad at someone when it's not his fault? It's the system's fault. We drive the ball so wide just to get double teamed and have no outlets. Listen, unbelievable one-on-one player, but he needs to be more central. I'm so tired of seeing us just go to the pitch line every time and then kick the ball back to Bravo or Trent. It's the same thing over and over. It's not Mo's fault. It's the system's fault. I mean, Mo played his best soccer last season more centrally. Just look at the game against Rangers. Just look at when we were kind of doing that little 4-4-2 hybrid thing. He's better centrally because he has more opportunities to score. And that's why Gakpo's better there, because Jota is not the guy who's going to drop back deep and provide that outlet. Gakpo is. So it's the system, and yet Mo is taking all the slander. It's one of my biggest pet peeves with football fans for any team. Everyone points to the player. No one points to the system, because the player is only as good as the system allows him to be, because this is an 11v11 game. It's not a 1v11. So, if we're going to continue driving the ball wide, which doesn't make sense when you're playing possession football, because I know someone said this before, Klopp wants to play possession football. So then why are you driving it wide and leaving 40 yards of space in between your players? You should be tight, compact, playing through the center. That's what possession football is. So we're kind of drawing conflicting ideologies, and then we're getting mad at someone when they're not scoring 50 goals a season. When in reality, in the 1920 season, in this 50-goal season, we played one system, and it was designed for that specific purpose, and it worked because it was counterattacking football, high press, and everyone was doing their job. Now we have 2 conflicting systems with inadequate personnel, and we're getting angry at the fact that someone's not producing. It's the same thing with Darwin. I don't think that we can judge Darwin yet because we don't even know the system to play him in. It's the same thing with Luis Diaz. People harp on Luis Diaz. Do I just expect him to take on 2 players every time down the left and produce a worldly goal?
Yeah, it's not right.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So,
you've actually got centre midfielders now who can do that a little bit better. And by the way, you've got attack and fullbacks, but you need that person, like Zubairi said before, who can be a CDM and drop back. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's just I just want everyone to kind of get it through their head, especially fans. It's just stop harping on the player and first look at the system. If the system is producing and the player sucks, then you have a problem. If the system sucks and the player sucks, then you know that it's not the player's fault. It's what's going on around him. And even last season, he scored 20 goals last season too. So in a shitty system, he produced. So just imagine if we got it right.
And you know what as well? I said that about Darwin. I was like, everyone said he needs a system around him, but I was like, no, he's actually getting the chances. And in fact, I think we made those differences and those changes to make him the new outlet. Like we literally dragged our top goal scorer with 40 goals a season all the way out right to accommodate Nunes. And Nunes got some great chances and just didn't take them all. So it's Exactly. So that even when I saw the Ivan Toney thing today, I was like, he'd walk right into our team as a starting striker. I know it's not our priority, so I'm not genuinely.
I'm sorry for calling it soccer, by the way. These people.
No, you're right. You're American.
I'm flip flopping back and forth, but
he's got to try.
You got to tread carefully, man. You got to tread carefully. I'm in America, and that's one thing I do not do, bro. You know what I mean? You can't call it soccer.
Like, you can't call it. And then the people who he's talking to right now.
It was an Englishman who invented the word soccer for America.
Isn't it? Did you know that? Isn't that mad?
Yeah, it was association football in that. But you make a great point, and Jamie, this is mad because the point both of you guys are making is Liverpool under Klopp is a false 9 team. But we keep finding ourselves with out and out strikers and then struggle to incorporate them at the detriment of our working system. So then fans are like, wait, what's going on here? Because it would seem like we don't even need Nunes. Because if Gakpo goes through the middle, no one is complaining if Jota comes on. So what are we doing with Darwin then? Because I don't want Darwin out the left anymore. He's not a left winger. So we have some interesting little problem in-house that I think would be on Klopp to kind of work out. Because if Klopp comes out with an out-and-out striker system that we can incorporate Darwin in, and that banks for like a cup game or, like a lower team game, that'll be great, but I don't see how Darwin gets in here, and I don't want him to be like the Origi where the system we play don't suit him, but he's just here. I don't want that for Darwin. No player should be at a team that doesn't play their system. It's like Lukaku going around all these teams that don't play the way Lukaku plays. So we now have a player on our hand that we don't play the way he plays. When Darwin is on the pitch, he takes away from the entire midfield and wingers. Because Diaz doesn't have anywhere to run into. Salah don't have anywhere to run into. The midfield is too far to get him the ball. And if Gakpo is not on the pitch to drive with it, who else is driving? So it's a weird little problem that we have. Hopefully we find solutions, man. But the problems we have, I don't think recruitment alone can fix it. I don't think recruitment alone can fix it.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, I mean, with the Darwin thing. With the Darwin thing, do you know what it was? I think Klopp saw Darwin as a very good forward that he could mould. And he thought, I'm going to go in the market because this is the next young forward that could be quite a big player in the years to come. We should have him at our football club. And went in for him. And then when he went and got Gakpo, because Gakpo was available and he's a talented footballer, so why shouldn't we have him if we want talented footballers at our football club? And when he went and got Gakpo and put him in that false 9 position, I think Klopp eyes opened a little bit and went
bang on.
He plays a bit like Bobby. He plays a bit like Bobby, and he's doing everything I actually want for my forwards. Because Klopp always talks about it. It's not just a goal scoring he's looking for. He likes forwards that defend from the front and keep the ball. Because that helps you press forward and get up to the halfway line and squeeze your opposition. And if he drops deep, as Mike says, Mo can go into that central area and bang goals. Look when Gakpo was playing in that 9-sit position all the way till the end of the season, Mo was banging goals for a reason. There was a reason there because Gakpo is helping him like Bobby used to. And I think Klopp wanted Darwin to start with and rates Darwin Nunes. But the more he sees what Gakpo does in that central area and what Jota can do anywhere across the front three, they're all ahead of him in the game at the moment in the system. So what Darwin's got to do is train hard, learn what Klopp wants him to do, try and improve his game and try and prove Klopp wrong. Also, he could be a good player for us off the bench in a long season. You never know. He could get important goals like Origi used to, and get important goals like Origi used to and things like that. Yeah, it cost 65 million. I think that's the reason everyone's a bit upset by it. If it costs 10 million, I don't think we're having this discussion.
Oh, yeah, we're not even mentioning how good or bad he is. But also, we wouldn't have that expectation that he ends up starting, you know what I mean? Exactly. Boys, before we round up, someone put a comment in earlier, and I saw the news area break about this dude. Are we keen on going back to our ex-like? No. Get Genie back for 6 months?
I think his legs are done now. I don't think.
The only way I'll take Genie is if Thiago ends up going, and the reason why I'm bringing Thiago into this, I wouldn't. No, I'll take him. But the reason why I wouldn't take him, I don't want him to come here and we're only playing Thiago because Thiago's fit. I would want Thiago to play because he's worth playing and he's beneficial playing. Because Thiago, when he's fit, he's probably one of the first or second subs. So I don't want him to come back just to be warming up the bench and for the facade of it. I mean, he can contribute, man. As long as he's coming back to do what old Genie was doing, I think we can use a guy like that. Experience as well, understand what Klopp needs, understand the levels. He was part of the leadership structure. I wouldn't take him back for anything beyond that. And the fact that I don't want Thiago to go, by default, I don't want Genie.
Listen,
No,
I'm going to say something that might piss off a lot of people, but I don't rate Thiago as highly as other Liverpool fans. I don't think that he is.
Could you be specific on when your ratings fell? Because I've rated this guy my entire life.
Well, this is no disrespect to him as an individual player. Thiago is brilliant. He's unbelievable technical ability. He's got a great ability to kind of hold on to the ball. The problem that I have is that putting Thiago in there is more towards possession football. And I don't think that we should be working towards possession football because of the reasons I stated earlier. Conflicting ideologies, conflicting player positions, just it's not cohesive, right? And to me, when Thiago comes in there, we start playing this possession style football, and then all of these mistakes come in because we turn it over and all of a sudden we're getting counterattacked. When even with Thiago in there last season, almost all of our goals are scored in transition. So it's not even like Thiago is the guy that is starting that transition. It just happens in transition. It's quick, bang, fire goals. Our biggest problems come up when we're holding the ball, we're holding up play, and we're kind of sitting there like we have absolutely no idea what we're doing. Someone makes a bad pass, and we're wide open. So as an individual footballer, I rate Thiago extremely highly. World-class baller, great technical ability. In terms of how we play in our system, I don't quite think that it's all that everyone kind of makes it out to be, because I think at the end of the day, it kind of hinders us, and again, it goes back, which is a whole other can of worms, which I don't want to get into with James because I know he's got to go. But it's all about the system in this case with Thiago, not about the player himself.
No,
I rate that. I said that to Grizz. I said I don't like how when we make a sub, the entire system change, and the system change doesn't even benefit us.
It'd be nice to bring on a like for like, innit?
Exactly. So I agree with that. Respect that.
I want Liverpool to go back to the way they used to play. I used to love Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, where win the ball back, 3 passes, goal. More direct
possession bullshit.
Are you talking about rock and roll? You talking about rock and roll?
He went 17-18 again, doesn't he?
I just want to go direct, a bit more direct, because I don't think we're very good. I don't think we're a very good team at passing out from the back. I don't think we are.
No, I think we do all right. We do all right. We don't.
No, we don't.
Like the goal against Chelsea that was passed out the back we score from. But most of the time we get ourselves in a mess back there. I used to love it when Alisson rolled the ball out to Virgil 50-yard dink into the wing positions. Trent and then Robbo can push up the play, and then you get the ball into your Bobbies or your Gakpos now.
It was such an established way of playing.
They keep the ball higher up the pitch, and you do your possession in the final third. All our possession comes in our final third. And that's the problem Liverpool got right now. Let's go back to being bastards, more direct, get the ball to the front men, and keep the possession at the final end of the pitch.
And just to add to that, even when we play this stupid possession football, where do all of our 9 out of 10 goals come from? Transition. It doesn't come from tiki taka. It comes from those long balls. It comes from speed. Okay, so like essentially, and honestly,
he's loving this, and he's getting into it.
This is something I looked back into last season. Almost every single game that we lost, we had more than 2/3 of the possession. So there's a clear common denominator here. We're losing when we have significant amounts of the ball. So why do we continue to have significant amounts of the ball? I'd rather sit back, park the bus, and just play counterattacking ball all day. But that's just me.
Bro, do you know what, though? There was something about the basic 2-1 wins and 1-0 wins we were getting in the league winning season, There was something that I rated about that season so highly. I was like,
it was efficient.
Yeah, bro, exactly, Jamie. Like, it wasn't even that exciting a lot of the time. But
we was a BMW, German-made, efficient. I want to go back being a Lamborghini.
Bro, can you believe? Can you believe that 2 of our defenders that season was Joe Gomez and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and our defense was that fucking good? Like,
yeah.
Listen, man, that's what a Guinness tastes like.
It's because we kept the possession away from our goal.
But that's what we're trying to do again. But like since we got Thiago and whatnot, it just hasn't worked out the same way. You know what I mean?
Too much space. Exactly. Too much space in possession in the other side of the field.
Because you know what Klopp had a battle to do? Klopp had a battle that no manager has had a battle to do. He has to get one of the highest win percentages in history. Like, his team can't afford to have as many fuck-ups as previous teams like Man United and Chelsea. And even Chelsea one season got 95 points, but otherwise the standard that you needed was high 80s, mid 80s. And that was fine to win the league title, whereas Jurgen Klopp had to sit there and go, right, I need to find a way to build a team that's good enough to actually compete every season in 4 competitions to achieve 95 to 99 points. And even that might not win me the league, which is like, it's tough, innit? You know what I mean?
This
like,
year,
how are you going to play?
It will this year. I'm telling you right now, the winner of this league, I don't even think, I think 85 is going to be, I would be surprised if the winner has 85 points at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think there's so many good teams now.
Exactly. And City they've fallen off too much. And even though they're still clearly at the top, they've fallen off their top pedestal. They're a little bit below themselves, but they're still at the top.
Hey, they just got Jeremy Doku, though. I think that was a good signing. Yeah, I think he's going to cause
I think that people are really underestimating KDB. Like, you know, Foden was great the other night, but they had 2 chances the whole game. One of them went into Nick Pope's foot. The other one was a Julian Alvarez worldie. Like, at the end of the day, that's good what point. I saw.
Kevin Five Bellies will be missed. There's no doubt about that.
If we get fucked by Newcastle, though, I'm going to be fuming, you know, boys, because I still don't look at them like the big boys that they're turning out to be, you know what I mean?
Park the bus, counter-attacking football.
You did what he's just said. Our approach to Newcastle is sit back. This is terrible.
No, I'm telling you. When
no, you're right, bro. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Because that's. I mean, when we play good teams, we win. When we play bad teams, we lose. Why? Because bad teams don't hold the ball. Bad teams let us hold the ball. Good teams hold the ball. We win because we're good on the counter. So let them hold the ball.
Go to the Man City game at Anfield last year. The Man City game at Anfield last year. We had James Milner at right back and Joe Gomez at centre back, and we played counter-attacking football and beat them 1-0. That is what Liverpool are best at. That's why Pep always worries about playing Liverpool, because he worries about what that front line can do to him. And we should do it. We should adapt to the teams we're playing against. We're playing Newcastle at home. Away, at their ground. They're going to be up for it. The fans going to be raging. 3rd game of the season. It'd be silly to go head-to-head with them straight away. Soak it up, counter. You know, Diaz, Salah and Gakpo and McAllister if he plays and Szoboszlai on the counter. It's disgusting. And that's how Liverpool should play it.
No Jota. Gakpo in the 9, Jota on the bench.
Jota shouldn't play.
I guarantee you, we will beat them if we go with the right approach. With the right approach, we've got it, no problem. If we try to go there and we try to play possession football, we're going to get smashed on the counter, and it's going to be a 3-1. It's going to be like United last year at Old Trafford.
Yeah, and even on EM's comment before we wrap up as well, he says, not a fan of Jota, to be honest, don't think he does enough. I'm now starting to get back, let me get Gakpo back in that false 9. We established this before, we went in depth before, so we won't do it too much again.
No, the thing with Jota quickly, he has over a really good game, don't he? And he's excellent.
He's always either involved or not involved enough.
There's no in between with Jota whatsoever, is he? He's either excellent or he's dog turd. There's no.
But didn't we say the same thing about Fab till he just stopped being excellent? So should we be keeping an eye on Jota for that as well?
Yeah, I mean,
because Fab was either a 10 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. There was no in between.
Fabinho in his Fabinho. This is what I noticed with Fabinho. His best performances would be a 6 or a 7 in the last 18 months, and his worst was. I'm chatting -3 out of 10s, boys. Yeah. He was diabolical shit at times.
No, but I'm talking before the last season. Before the last
season.
Oh, yeah.
In his peak, it's not even, bro. That guy was sick.
It's either a banger or a stinker. There was no middle ground, and then it just became stinkers from there on. Jota is the same way. Jota is either a banger or a stinker. There's no in between with him, you know.
Apparently, Calvin Phillips rumors are hotting up to Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't really agree with that, Zuberi. I think that, again, Jota, it's down to the system. You've got conflicting players. You've got Gakpo, who's a true 9, trying to play as a left center mid, and you got Jota, who's a goal scorer, who's expected to drop back for the ball.
What's Jota's position? I don't know his position.
To me, he's more of like a goal scoring center forward. Like he's not a false 9, whereas Gakpo's a false 9. Jota's going to goal. Jota's also a target man. So I think, again, his poor performances are just kind of a reflection of conflicting systems and personnel, and Klopp really kind of not having it all figured out, because the guy can finish goals as good as anyone else on this team. It's just a matter of he's getting in the way of other players, and other players are getting in the way of him. Everything's just very conflicting. So I don't blame him too much personally.
It's some good stuff there for people who watch the show and you were wanting a little bit of everything. I think we got quite a good bit of everything there. We had Zuberi, we had Jamie, and we had Mike make the show 10 times better as well. So big up to all the gentlemen who joined in. I always love having yous on, boys. It's great. And if you ever want to come on in future, you know where to shout me. Zuberi, I'm going to grab your number after this, G. In fact, I'm going to grab all your numbers, because I'm always messaging you on Twitter and that, you know what I mean? So I'm going to grab all your numbers after this, and we'll try and sort something out regarding everyone's availability and whatnot. Jamie, you have your YouTube channel, don't you? That's your channel right there.
Yeah, right there.
Jamie, guys, go subscribe to Jamie. He always gives his time to us, so it'd be great to see a return of investment. Mike Dars hasn't blessed us with a YouTube channel yet, so
I'm going to. I think at this point I might as well just do it. So. Eventually,
fam, you hurt. That's what he's doing, fam. He's making a YouTube channel. Zuberi channel, yes, no,
yeah. Zuberi Mafabi at YouTube. Didn't really do much. I was thinking about putting together a show with some American fellas. Maybe we can get away with calling it soccer on that show. Maybe not. We'll test the waters. But yeah, something is definitely in the works.
Jeez, nah, that's nice. And everyone go support those guys right there. That'd be grand. Obviously, the links are in the chat as well. Big up to Sam who's doing that. But yeah, guys, appreciate all the people who tuned in. Please do smash a like on your way out and comment once the video's done, because, it adds to the algorithm. And yeah, man, let's wait and see if these journalists have any good news for us. So we'll see if anything grows with Gravenberch. I'll, of course, keep you posted if it does. But until then, you gang of fools, I'll see you all in a bizzle. Peace out.